I forgot to do a story so far, or what happened in the previous episode, more than anything else. So let's take a peek at things while something hopeless happens downstairs. Not much, to tell you the truth, because a lot of the early parts of a sequence of rounds are about preparing for stuff. But we're right about ready for the stuff to hit the fan. Of course, what that means is there's not a lot of turn left, honestly. Sequence of rounds, or whatever the fuck it's called. All right, Spain, I think they've been recovering still. You can see they own almost nothing in the Netherlands areas. I think if they lose another territory, they may have to actually retreat or something. I don't know. I don't know of any rules regarding that one way or the other. They spent their points. They just performed a little bit more exploration, which got them Virginia, not something they particularly want for their goals. But they may have to go to war with Denmark, but that's not pretty. For the English, also trying to, perform some internal reforms and whatnot, Protestantism throughout the English territory. They scored their points for that, bringing them into last place as opposed to well below last. I mean, they're within striking range of, second to last. All right, Austria. This is where things are interesting, because Poland and France got themselves in situations where, because of the Austrians losing power in the empire, they were preparing to go to war and over basically dynastic inheritances, different ones. The Poles were going to try to engineer something in Pomerania, and the French were engineering something in Savoy. Well, the French don't really need Savoy if, we have claim already there, so we could trigger the event or not. Either one works. Triggering the event causes an interesting situation where it causes problems for Spain, who would have a hell of a time getting in there into the disputed succession. And it wouldn't really work out terribly well for them. So we could cause a little bit of additional pain to Spain by taking that event, is basically the effect. Poland has already spent so many of their cubes and are preparing themselves for a war with Livonia up here instead. And now we probably don't have what we need to generate a marriage. Get a royal marriage card. We actually could, and get ourselves in sort of a freebie war into Pomerania, which is more attractive. And we might actually do that if we knew what France was up to. We're not sure that we do, though. France just built a big army. Do we know what they're up to? Maybe we roll a die, maybe something else. I don't know. Meanwhile, the Austrians have prepared themselves. They upped the imperial standing so that they can respond to that royal marriage threat, to the disputed succession threat, basically. Or to anything, really. The French could declare war on Savoy regardless of what goes on here. So the advantage of the disputed succession is that it gives a free declaration of war and a couple of military cubes, which is very appealing. So France may take that simply because it's more appealing, but that opens up some interesting questions as to what would happen with Spain. First of all, they'd have to pay some price, but also it does take away my opportunities to play around with other events, which I might wish to do. For example, religious turmoil doesn't affect me right now, but it might if I waited out too long. Finally, we have Turkey, who has entered into a war with the Mamluks, and is prepared to start sieging their territory and grabbing land from them. It is possible with all these cubes that we might actually conquer most of their territory. I don't think we can take their capital, though. And this is the screwed up thing, because as long as Benghazi is out here, I think that kind of protects them, so they'll have like some kind of little limited strength. So I don't know. French are reaching for this disputed succession card. Now, like in a lot of games where people are around and paying attention to things, which may or may not be the case here, Poland might react, wait, don't play that yet. Hold on. We could both end up causing Austria some pain here. If you declare war, then I can use that card. However, France made the decision that this is better for them because it gives them a couple of military cubes for declaring war, which is appealing. However, the Poles, let's see if they can arrange what they want. So they have a royal marriage. That would give them, that would cost them this cube to put the marriage in play there, which would be allowable. Now, this negotiation is happening in public because nobody has a cube to spend, basically, which means Spain gets to, or Austria gets to hear this, and other countries as well. So what the Poles are saying is, look, if you allow me to do that and to trigger the event, then shit. Sorry about that. Then I'll, be able to join in, and Austria will be put in a position where they're going to fail defending the empire one way or another. I don't know what happens if you're defending the empire and there's two separate wars in the empire. I just don't know. Now, what would happen with France in this case? I would get less cubes, so I'd be less likely to be successful. Austria has already used its event, so it's not going to fire this off. Someone else might. I don't see much advantage. On a 1, I'm going to investigate it further. Make sure that there are no rules that are going to really screw with things. The fact that this royal marriage flips over doesn't really hurt France much. Spain could declare war on Savoy as well. That's all. Oh boy. All right. I was kind of hoping I could just get away with doing this. Okay, so I'm looking under the HRE to try to figure out how that would work. And I think what would happen is Austria, if they declare to defend Savoy, will be able to use their army, fight in Savoy. They'll be able to use the imperial armies because they have a little tag defending the HRE. They get this, in fact, if they're attacked as well. So like if Turkey declares war on Austria, Austria can call the rest of the HRE in. But there are limits. It's like one province outside of the HRE boundaries, current HRE boundaries. Poland could declare war, and I could refuse to defend against Poland. I would take a prestige loss for that, and imperial loss as well, but it might be for the best. It's hard to tell. Poland is not that big a threat, right? They don't have much of an army, they don't have many cubes. France has a big army, a lot of cubes. All right, France buys into Poland's argument. Someone else can use up that card, and that would suck, and declares war on Savoy. And that triggers a bunch of effects. So the first is Savoy is going to ask for help. Austria is going to help. by declaring war on the French. We have to find the right place to put this. Where does this go? Where does it go? I can't find it. There it is. Okay, Austria is defending the HRE. Which means Austria has declared war on France, and I have to have a French war on Austria as well. Along with the Turkish truce. I don't believe, well, France declared war. I could spend diplomatic cubes, which I don't have, to try to call allies in, which I'm not going to do. Austria is not going to have an opportunity to call allies in, but I do check the imperial manpower, and I believe that's going to be 6. France gets to move in. I can't use these additional forces for Savoy, the imperial army. That's not available. It's only available for the Austrian armies. But there are going to be 4 Savoyan. By the way, over here, the Mamluks, again, this is unlike the original EU. They drew a general, great. That general's gone. Okay, his army was defeated and destroyed and everything, so that might have happened anyway. But even if it withdrew in good order or whatever, that general just automatically goes away. He's just a random general each time. That's possible in the old EU, but something like the Mamluks would have had a prefixed leader. One who's not very good, by the way. So don't feel too badly about that. Why am I doing France? It's not their fucking turn. All right, time to unwind everything. I think we're back to where we were. We moved the French army back. I think. This is, sorry about that. It is, I am just not smart enough to be playing right now. I thought I have a battle that may last forever, running down on raid, and yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Spain is going to do a reorg to get their cube here so they can colonize instead of all that other stuff. This means Poland gets the first shot. All that discussion's happened, I'm assuming. Austria has heard it and can't do a damn thing about it because they fired their event. I noticed something kind of interesting. So if you look, there's a lot of small locations, but they're big cities, and that makes sense. You know, if you're building, you know, some kind of, well, it makes sense in a mixed sort of way. If you're colonizing something like Bengal or whatever, what is that colony really, right? Trying to remember how they operate in, like colonies were, I think, a rarer thing, but I don't recall exactly in the old EU. But there were 2 ways to kind of claim land. One was colonies, one was trading posts. Trading posts made a lot more sense where there's a large indigenous population. However, when you're looking at Africa, there are large populations. When you're looking at Central America or Cusco, there are large populations present that if you're able to dominate, you could turn into a labor force. Now, the reality is that the Mayan, there was a huge die-off. So making these into large towns feels a little funny. But also there was those had higher populations by far than any cities in Europe. You know, something like Mexico City was much, much more dense at that point, if I remember correctly. Anyway, what I'm saying is there's kind of this weird sort of mixture. What you get over there when you invade Mexico in the old EU was you ended up establishing a colony there after defeating them. And it was just a normal colony. And you really kind of worked it up the same way you would work up any other colony, say in Virginia or whatever. So kind of a weird divergence here where they're basically assuming, I guess, that the native population can be appropriately utilized. I don't know if that's really the fact. I mean, if you're looking at something, I just don't know. I don't know if it would have the same impacts. It's hard for me to judge, but my feeling was that the old model was closer to the reality in terms of economic impact, etc. England's debating whether or not the Portuguese crown and forcing Castile out of it is a worthwhile move. First of all, I'll get to diplomacy. I also prevent them from being able to use it. And this probably would have been something I should have thought about earlier. I kind of didn't because I'm already walking away from Spain to England, knowing that Spain has no chance. And now I absolutely know they have no chance, right? All right. But I probably should have been considering enrolling a die to see if England intervened and took that event earlier in the game. It's okay. I mean, it isn't that big a deal if they lose, whatever they've got in play with Portugal. In fact, if Portugal gets much bigger, this is a wording issue. They might not even have what it looks like there. Let's see what this is. This is during the upkeep, right? Board and status. Remove alliances from bots and from DNPRs that have a tax income of 10 or more ducats. Yeah, no matter how you read it, there has to be that 10 or more ducats or dollars. And I don't believe Portugal has that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 6. So yeah, we're safe there. It was. I thought it might have been in the other order that any NPRs with 10 or more ducats were a problem, but there aren't going to be many of those. Lithuania is the one exception. Okay, so what was the English plan? They want to get to the Maritime Empire. In order to start getting there, we need to start firing off trade events. What else could we do? Well, we could convert a territory which might include Ireland. Gotta look this up. This is going to be an administrative action. Yeah. You may convert a religion if the state religion, if you own every province in the area. Yeah, I do not. So I can't convert Ireland with just one. Now, if I had the missionaries card, I could. But under normal conditions, I'm stuck with that. This makes the religious dissent card not unattractive to me, but it doesn't really do much for me. So what I think I want to do, unless I want to invoke a war, I don't really want to invoke a war with Scotland, although I might want to if France goes to war with Austria, right? I could create a war immediately with Bremen, get myself established over there through the marriage technique. It doesn't have to be my own marriage that I'm getting involved in, but I don't see any others. So that would get me a cheap insertion there. Unfortunately, the naval moves would be ugly, and it also would open me up to war with Austria. Don't want to do that. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to fire off a trade action. See what that brings me, because that might get me to the Maritime Empire. One isn't going to do it. I have to spread out a bunch of ships. But ships are hard to spread out. The trade action is probably the easiest way to do this. I don't get what I want, but I do get 11 bucks off the trade. I could move a ship here to the North Sea or up around here somewhere. I was hoping for something like Bordeaux. The Seville one would help, but I need to build 2 to get to Seville. I need to build 2 to get to North America, which I was also considering trying to do an exploration in that direction to try to fill this out. This is going to be hard to accomplish, not so much because it's hard. I mean, I could spend military cubes to move 1, 2 ships, 3 ships into play and immediately get it. And if I do the exploration, I got a good chance of getting it. But anyway, I'll take the 11 bucks, think about the exploration thing, and, you know, trying to do this just with military chips. I was hoping to be able to sleaze my way in with trade, but now that I'm down to one cube, that's enough that allows me to explore. I need that for exploration. Weird question of, you know, do I want? How much is it worth clearing one of these? There's a limited number of those available to me throughout the entirety of the game. And if I rush to get them all, maybe I could be doing other things that help me more. Again, you know, I could force this with the military cubes. An exploration gets me in that general direction, but it doesn't force it, right? So, you know, I'm playing this kind of balance. What are the odds of this? Can I get a Bordeaux, you know, or a North America once I do the exploration? Either one gets me towards my goal. Is in this ugly situation. I'm saying, hey, they know that France and Poland are colluding against them. Poland is probably going to pick that marriage thing. France is going to attack Savoy. They've already talked about this in front of me. Now what? What the hell do I do about it? And that's tough. I don't really want to expend military cubes. Trade cubes are not terribly helpful to me, but it may be the best I can do. I just, you know, I could throw diplomacy down, but that doesn't necessarily help me. Poland's got an ugly situation. They've not got a marriage there yet. If they play the marriage there, that doesn't really help. So how do I prevent them from playing that marriage? That would be a possibility. Since they've exposed their plan, let's take a look at the royal marriage. No, we can't. Let's take a look at Poland's card for royal marriage. There's not much I can do about that. Unless I had a spy network, I could fuck with their cubes, but I can't. So yeah, I guess I'll just do a trade and delay and see what happens. All right, well, I get my 2 bucks. What I can't do is I can't pass. Normally, you can get yourself out of an ugly military situation by passing. But this is a situation that if I pass, I can't intervene, and I'll suffer all the penalties for not intervening in terms of, hey, look, all my imperial authority goes away. So I've got to keep my imperial authority. I've got to, you know, keep my military cubes, maybe one of these that I can transfer over, etc. And just hope for the best. That'll bring us to Poland, who, as per their agreements, will play the royal marriage. Screw it, man. We put a royal marriage here in, oh my. Okay, 2 is enough. I guess this is in Stettin. And we'll try to grab that. Lubeck is Swedish Pomerania. I played my cube, and we'll hope for the best. Not quite sure that this works, right? I get a free declaration of war off that card, and I actually get some cubes, which is really important to me succeeding. Over to Turkey, who will continue their war. Hey, we're moving along real fast. Their war is real easy. 2 cubes. To grab all of this. And now that's all going to be ours if we negotiated a peace right now. But we're going to keep moving because we want the whole Levant, man. All right, France, now it's time. France negotiated and agreed with the Poles. So now we put the declaration of war in Savoy. Not dealing with that royal marriage at all. It's no problem. Why don't we make it a war, not a peace? And we should point it to Savoy, although it's all Savoy up there. And Austria will declare war and get that token over there like I had. And we get a little Austrian war marker on France because I think they have to be reflective. Otherwise, other things don't work right. Although I didn't find a rule that said it, but we make shit up when we have to. Let's look at the declaration of war sequence. Make sure we got everything there. Determine the realms. Call to arms. The call to arms was to Austria. 6 cubes. We do everything we did before. Let me cut the camera off. If there are any French cubes in their realm, this all goes away. All that Italian influence. Because I'm declaring war on them, man. This one goes away. Painful, man. Are there any Austrian cubes in French territory? No. Okay. So we've like disaligned whatever there is going on in northern Italy. They hate us now as the French because we're attacking Savoy, man. But, okay, we have no ships in Savoyan waters. Austrian waters aren't neutral. There are no land units there yet. If no war is triggered, we get to move in. Savoy has 4 armies, so they get a general pick. I put my general in charge. They do not get a general. France has not military drill. They have everything else. So, France gets 6 dice. I hate rolling dice one-handed this way. I kill everything. But Savoy gets a full 3 dice against me, which would be enough to cause some hurt. Kills 2. No Janissaries or whatever. Savoy's been defeated. I get my cube back. Big deal. This goes here. I don't hear any fighting downstairs, so it's time to leave. But, yeah, Turkey conquering stuff. France opened up its war. Poland setting itself up for that disputed marriage so they can grab those 2 extra ports. I think this is a little cheaper than the attack on that direction, but I'm not sure. Well, it's a little cheaper only because the disputed suggestion gives me two military cubes. That's what makes it cheaper, is that I get more oomph in terms of being able to prosecute the war. But I may need it. because I'm not just going against a minor power anymore. The Austrians could conceivably defeat the French, swing around, and hit the Poles, or vice versa. They could smack the Poles first. Poles look like an easier victory. Maybe getting one victory is more important than, trying to fight the more powerful opponent first. I don't know. All right. One of them battles there, I think it'll last forever. The last one I actually won. This one I think is less likely, but yeah, whatever. All right, on to the Spaniards. I want to colonize. Not something I remember how to do very well. In particular, I think the claim goes away in order to do it, but I'm not absolutely sure. So let's find actions. Explore. I don't know where colonize is. It's administrative. Colonize. When they're over in the corner like this, they're hard to see. Spend 4. Then replace a claim with a small town. The colony has to be connected by sea. It is. Okay. So, that's pretty cool. I dump a bunch of cubes. And I get me Virginia. Which, doesn't really help me towards the Spanish Main. I need other locations, but yeah, it improves my situation. And I'm pretty much done unless I want to fire off I have to fire off an event, but I don't know. Haven't seen one yet. Hoping something interesting drops. And for the English, we are going to shoot off an explore action. Coming out of here. 1, 2. Hey. And we find the explore die. And then look up the rules for it. So let's get over to this side where the rules are. I get a 3 and a skull. That's a problem. I was not clever. I think I'm in trouble. Result with a skull. Discover a territory matching it or a distant area. Okay, roll this and either use the result or pay. Result with no Q. Yeah. Result with that. Pay 1 piece to discover a territory matching the number roll, or fail an expedition and remove one of your ships on a distant continent. I screwed up. I should not have done that trade action first. And I just lost my navy because of it. Why? I don't know. I find it kind of weird, but not really terrible, that you can just keep upping the cost. You can play a kind of push your luck type. And it's not really, but you can just, keep sinking more cost in. On to Austria. Austria's at war. It's time to build an army. Where do we build our army? We know what Poland's going to do. Well, we can build our army in a location that's within 2 of both. Can't we? No. Because this isn't us. What about Austria? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got to build my army there. All right. Poles, we're taking our event. Hurrah! Why $2 on each? $4 on each now. All kinds of stuff happens. Disputed succession. Pick an independent realm with a marriage in it, flip it over. Stettin. And we sought out a specifically problematic marriage, right? We're going to pick War of Succession, take a free declare war action. We are at war now with Stettin. Okay. Targeting the realm, gain 2 army, 2 military if it's adjacent to your realm. Oh, fuck. It's not adjacent to my realm. It's adjacent to my vassals. Son of a bitch. Oh well. Okay, before anything else happens, the declaration of war triggers some things. In particular, does Austria want to declare war on the Poles? I see very little harm to doing so. And why do I not have an Austrian army on the board? I see very little harm to doing so. The Polish army is, well, it could invade Austria. It could invade me. All right, peacetime. How does peace work? Because if Poland swings against me, that's a different situation. But I kind of don't want to lose the imperial authority. However, can I trust that I'm going to win a war against France, who has better technology than I do? Slightly, they have the cannons. Pretty good leadership, like I can't be that good, or I can't be better than that. I have more armies because of the imperial army that I can bring into play. But there is some serious danger that Poland could swing against me. Instead of going into Pomerania, they could march into Hungary and take my territories, and that sounds ugly. So I have to look at the peace rules to see what they are going to cause. Complicated situation. When defending, may not enforce peace on any imperial subjects unless they have achieved a victory over the emperor in the war. Okay, yeah. So instead, peace must be negotiated with the emperor, who may agree to peace terms on behalf of the NPR imperial subjects as they would for any active allies. All right. How do active allies get handled? I was just over there, but I realized these aren't actually allies. How does this get handled? Peace and allies. If you win a war against an alliance of two PRs, each is resolved individually. They negotiate separately. Okay. PRs must negotiate peace on behalf of their active NPR allies. Automatic white peace, if that's required, it just happens. Total victory. When determining and resolving total victory against active allies, treat them as any other NPR. Once peace has been resolved for such an active ally, the PR allied to the NPR must discard allied units equal to the NPR's pre-war tax income divided by 2. That's not exactly in play here. Partial victory. Unless you have achieved a partial victory against your PR enemy, you have not achieved this against their active allies either. If you have achieved a partial victory against a PR enemy, on the other hand, that also applies to all active allies of that PR. In this case, peace is enforced or negotiated simultaneously for the PRs as well as for their active allies. Only a single peace term may be selected for all the realms involved in the peace resolution, which is resolved as detailed below. Okay? White peace works as normal. Full annexation is only possible with total victories being resolved individually for active allies. Now, and this is interesting because I don't think I don't know if I can get a total victory. Isn't that what it said? God damn it. I need another fucking bookmark. Let's look back here again. Peace resolution. When defending is tagged, may not enforce peace on any imperial subjects unless they achieved a victory over the emperor in the war. Instead, peace must be negotiated with the emperor. PR at war with the emperor may not enforce peace on the imperial. Instead, peace must be negotiated with the emperor, who may agree to peace terms on behalf of the NPR imperial subjects as they would for any active allies. Well, that's not quite what I'm seeing here, right? I'm not seeing that it gets negotiated. If you win a war against an alliance of two PRs, no. PRs must negotiate peace on behalf of their active NPR allies. It says it here. That is, those that have their things flipped to their thingies. Yeah, I'm sorry, I should be pronouncing that. Bloops and bleeps. When determining if an automatic white peace agreement requirements have been met, count active allies as part of their PR allies' realm. If requirements are met, you enter a white peace with both. Good. Total victory. When resolving total victory against active allies, treat them as any other NPR. Okay, so I think I can win a total victory regardless of what happens to the emperor in contravention of what's stated over there. So I don't know. Once peace has been resolved for such an active ally, the PR allied to that must discard them. Yeah. So there's a contradiction here, but I don't know. Because it seems to me like the empire... So if I'm at war with Savoy and it has nothing to do with the empire, conquering Savoy makes sense. If I'm at war with Savoy and I conquer it and the emperor is still fighting me over it, they're still holding Savoy's rights up. And unlike most games, including the old EU, I think what should be done is, no, I cannot fully conquer them unless I have also fully, I have gotten something like a full victory, a total victory, as opposed, I'm checking the terminology here. The words are having trouble right now. Okay, partial victory, unless you have achieved, so this doesn't say anything, but this says, unless you have achieved a partial victory against your PR enemy, you have not achieved it against the active allies either. That, again, that seems to align, which may be that the HRE is meant to align with that, right? Peace on any imperial subjects unless they have achieved a victory over the emperor in the war. This is not like a normal, this is not worded the same way as active allies. So my feeling is I'm not going to be able to impose a total victory, or indeed, okay. I'm not going to be able to impose a total victory on an active ally unless I've achieved a partial victory against the PR enemy. Even though this is worded differently for normal allies, you can strip normal allies, but there's a special circumstance around the empire. The emperor has to more or less agree that X is no longer a state, which is a different situation than, like, you know, a non-imperial state ally. So I'm gonna kind of give a certain extra impetus to the emperor there. Right? That's the wrong word, but I can't find words anymore. In this case, peace is enforced or negotiated simultaneously for the PR as well as their active allies. Enforced or negotiated. So my feeling here is, okay, let's keep going. Only a single peace term may be selected for all the realms involved in a peace resolution, PRs as well as active allies, which is resolved as detailed below. Let's get on with it then. White peace, yeah, that's fine. Humiliation only gains P for provinces returned to the PR enemies directly. Anything owned by active allies is returned without a reward. Keep current board state. Treat provinces lawfully owned by your enemy's active allies, mostly like any other provinces you occupy. You may keep them as normals, except for capitals, or return them to get ducats. It is not, however, possible to liberate the provinces of an enemy's active allies in order to gain P. For the vassalization and force conversion, you apply it only to the realms involved. The secure desired succession. What I'm not getting here is this full annexation. And full annexation is what I'm after, right? I want to conquer Savoy. That is my goal. And that's why I'm in this war. And I don't feel like the empire should have the right to prevent me from doing that entirely. If they're beaten and I have defeated Savoy, I think I should be able to get the total victory. Even if I've only got a partial victory, well, no. I don't know. I don't know. You know, I just don't know. My hands are in the air, and I don't know what the fuck is happening. I'll make it up as I go along. The rules do not align well and do not, they're not consistent. At least as I'm reading them. Someone else may have a, oh, but it's this. Yeah, okay, you know, I don't necessarily buy it, though. So now we're going to look at the event and trigger these things. First, we have a disloyal vassal. Who is this? Poland owns this. Affects every PR that has any areas with marriage, with vassal, with either no cubes or marriage, or with fewer cubes than any opponent. Of the areas that qualify, any affected PR must pick an area with the most of their vassals, gain unrest on all of them, and must then place some rebels. You gain unrest as normal, but do not get rebels. Okay. I am the first player. Do I have, let's try to figure this out again, a vassal with no cubes or marriage? I have a vassal with no cubes or marriage. Once again, I get the unrest. This is what happened to me last time. I'm in unrest. Okay. Yeah, I thought that was adjacent to me. Fucking hell. I screwed Poland up, but I can't cope. Vassal? No. How do I have an alliance there? Do I have a vassal? I have a vassal. Okay. So this shows up, and a rebel army appears there, which is going to start causing problems. France, a vassal. That's a Protestant. What's this? This is also a vassal. Okay, let's look. Oh, wait. Fewer cubes. I missed this. Fewer cubes than any opponent. No, it does not happen here. Sorry. Fewer cubes than any opponent. I have cubes here. This would not revolt. But this, I have no cubes. So this part of Anjou does revolt. This is, I'm sorry, part of Provence. And there is now a rebellion army there. God. Knowing what the hell is going to happen from these could be useful, right? Okay. Spain is a mess. I have many such areas. Which one do I pick? The area with the most. Okay, that's going to be Aragon itself goes into revolt. Wait, I have a marriage. Hold on. Is marriage expressed here? That's bleep. Not boop, but bleep. Okay, so Aragon does not revolt. That goes to Sicily. I have a marriage with Aragon. This is part of Aragon. And none of the Aragonese stuff can convert over. No problems then. Okay. England does not have a vassal. Austria has a vassal. I'm married. No problem. Has a vassal. I'm not married. Problem. Northern Italy, I have more cubes than other people. Not a problem, right? Any areas or with either no cubes marriage or with fewer cubes. God, that's fucking insane, right? I think if I have no, so if someone else has cubes there, I get the cube for the marriage, and if they exceed me, I'm in trouble. Okay, I think very little happens there. The Poles slit their own wrists. Now we go to DNPR. We have two symbols, blue and pink. And I get to pick, and God, I'm tired already. Fucking hell. Doing, you know, this is like pulling out the 30 Years' War card. Not card, but the 30 Years' War event in EU. Just working your way through each of these. I'm bent over trying to do this. This is not easy. The event cards have way too much shit going on in the bottom. I'm not saying there shouldn't be that much shit happening. It's just, I'm doing this one little fucking thing that I'm trying to do, right? I tried to do one goddamn thing, I fucked it up, and then now this whole slew of shit that I gotta pay attention to. Basically, each of these secondary effects, I have to reread each time. And of course, what happened, things that I'm not too used to happening. Some of them I'm kind of comfortable with. But here, it's two of them, well, three really, because there's two DNPRs on here that I'm really not comfortable with. And already the fucking HRE thing has caused enough problems. Not like I can stop right now, right? I have to get through this fucking card because it's a one little atomic thing with like an event here that references into all kind of shit, and then two of these that fire off and require all kind of decisions. There's no fucking escape. All right, what the fuck? We got to reread this because we can never remember what it works with. Okay, for each symbol that matches the color, place a matching thing on a province adjacent to that NPR. This may not be a capital, nor may it be occupied, owned by DNPR's ally, or a core province of a PR. Okay. I think we forgot to add unrest when we added those in other places. I'm not sure. Maybe I remembered, maybe I didn't. That's part of it. Okay, blue. There is one blue because the Swedes didn't happen. It's over here. Poland controls this. I can add anything. Core province, can't go there. Core province, can't go there. Capital. Capital allowed. This may not be a capital unless it's the last remaining province. Okay, so we expand again. We'll go here into Urfa. We're basically just building a bigger enemy for the Turks. Okay, great. Pink. Is there only one pink? I think there's only one pink. That's the Danes. All right, somewhere we could send the Danes into the New World. Or we could keep pushing them elsewhere. Oh, fuck, my side is killing me now. Okay. I think we have one Dane left. No. We have used up all the Danes. Okay. Put this here so that I have this. Where does Poland want to put it? Can't make it to England. I could squeeze into the empire a little deeper. Or I could, wait, what is it? What can I do? I can place it on any vacant territory. I don't know. I don't know about the French Gaul, so I don't want to put it down there. Do I want to give Spain a lot of reasons to go to war with Denmark over the New World? Or do I want to inject this into here? This is Hanover's capital. I think I destroy the English alliance there. I think. I don't know. Because that's their capital. It's gone. let's just take that. The final one is a death of people. It was really impactful, actually. Suleiman, Francis, at least one French advisor, I think an English advisor, all died. This has left Suleiman and Francis in interregnum because they do not have rulers to play over themselves. In the midst of a war, they were the generals out on the field and they're dead now. There's no general in place. That puts France in a really tough position because they had had a good general, but now Austria has killed them. And France is like, fuck Poland, I should not have let you do that. But they couldn't play the card themselves. It would have killed them. This is one thing that I really don't like. And there's a lot of things I really don't like, right? But they're the gamey type things. In this particular case, the fact that, like, I know who's going to die when a certain card is drawn, that I can kill off specific people and everything, wow, that's a weird, it's control over shit I shouldn't have control over. I'm not saying they shouldn't die and, you know, time passing should kill them. It just, the cards are not a good mechanism for this. And we hit the wars of religion. Add a Protestant token, 3 unrest, and 3 rebel armies in any French area. France loses a stability. You place a rebel marker in Paris, which I don't know if that'll go religiously rebellion. Assuming that Paris was in the wrong religion, which it's not, but I don't know. I don't think so. And France will be allowed to, well, no, the player, not France. France doesn't get to choose shit. This is an event unless they pick the event. Edict of Nantes, France may pay 3 admin to research tolerance. Or Huguenots massacred France. Yeah, but what about both? France loses another stability and must exhaust 2 armies. Whoever plays this gets a military. Comes with Henry IV. Which it really shouldn't if the Huguenot... Well, I mean, if you pick not the Edict of Nantes type solution, if Henry IV was Protestant. It would be really hard. Yes, he converted to Catholic, but it would be really hard to convince me that he would institute the really strict anti-Catholic. But you could say this isn't Henry IV of Navarre. It's, I don't know, one of the Guis. One of the Guis. Okay. That moves this thing to Turkey, and I am fucking exhausted. And don't feel like, you know, I don't feel like I have a good grasp on what is happening with the HRE. But boy, was that a disruptive card play. And yeah, France probably shouldn't have made any agreements with... Oh. We still haven't resolved what was supposed to happen. But like I said, I think Austria will go to war with the Poles over this. I think that's what I decided. And a Polish war over in Austria. Where are all my Austrian wars? There we go. Yeah, okay. I still don't know how that piece is going to resolve. I'm going to have to fucking fudge it. But yeah. Ouch. Since there are people who watch these just in the hope, there aren't a lot of people who watch them, so, just in the hope that, like, I have one of those meltdowns. In the end, hey, it's okay, right? This has been a horrible turn for just about everybody. Everybody has gotten hit with something nasty in it. At least this last round, really. Just the last set so far going around. Even players who haven't gone yet, Turkey and France, have been hit. Their kings were killed. So, that's part of my being upset it's like, normally I miss, one important thing or something. In this case, everyone should have been aware that, oh look, Suleiman and, I don't know who the French king was there. Was it still Francis? Yeah. And Francis were doomed to die. And if that disputed succession came out, it would kill them. If anybody did anything with this royal marriage shit, it's going to kill Suleiman and Francis. They're just like, they're so invested in, the royal house in Stettin. Yeah. To me, that card and the effects of it is as ridiculous and silly as, in your more military CDGs, things like, say, Paths of Glory or whatever, being able to do voodoo on the weather and make it do stuff. This is just as, there's just unconnected events that are all triggered by the same thing. And it feels wrong. I understand the concept of trying, or the desire to try to bake as much into, as few different mechanisms as possible, to have the cards trigger lots of stuff. You can kind of look at a game like, brain not working, Blackbeard, Berg's Blackbeard, as having the same sort of thing where, oh look, I random evented all, I captured a ship and I took your turn away and stuff like that. Stuff like that feels kind of funny in terms of like, something feels like it's wrong. Here it's much, much worse because the players have some agency in deciding to cause that. It's not, these cards aren't coming up at random. You aren't choosing, well, let's pick an event and I'll control it. It's at random, I mean. It's let's select the event we want to have happen and trigger all kinds of stuff. And some of that stuff is just so unbelievable as to be laughable. Like the fact that, had I been paying attention, everybody would have been aware that card will kill Francis and Suleiman. No matter where it's applied, and in this case it was applied primarily to Stettin. Okay, which puts us on to the Turks. We have no general. If we had a general, we could have made him the ruler. Another kind of weird thing, right? The only cards that count as generals can all be ascended to ruler. Might make some sense in some cases, I don't know. But the biggie here is, do I want to continue my war? I have a lot of advantages. I have the Janissaries, I have the troop reduction. I'm going to be facing 6 units. So I'm going to go ahead with it, but I've got some trepidation where I didn't before because I had a good general. I don't have any military cards or anything here. So yeah, it's six armies again. Seems to be our magic number right now. And I need to get them all standing so that I can knock them back down when they die. Yeah. We're not in good shape here mentally. But that's okay. We draw a military card. No general? That's good. A general would have thrown us into some difficulty. So I get my full 3 dice, but I get cannons and I get doubles. So that's not so bad. I cause 3 hits to the Mamluks. They cause 2 hits to us. There are 3 armies. There's less armies. The Mamluk army retreats. And I get my cube back. And this is kind of the cool thing, is as long as I don't siege, I could just keep marching, right? So these cubes actually have a lot more functionality. In warfare, the military cubes give you a lot of function, which makes sense because honestly, you know, like I said, in the other game it's 5-year turns and it feels like you can't do very much with your military in that. Here, it feels like the militaries move very, very slowly. Of course, there's the time limit over there. Did we check this? Yeah, the wars of religion. Did we care? It fucks with France. France has not triggered an event yet. They may want to grab this. An ugly event I'd rather not have happen. But I definitely want religious turmoil to happen first. So I'm going to trigger... Oh, but this has a Protestantism. But I control the Protestantism. Does that help me? I think so. I think I can spread it to Spain instead. So I'm going to grab this card instead. Triggering my event. So that's 4, 6 over here for now. And this moves over. And yeah, I have another long battle, but probably not as long as I'm here. Probably either dead or, I don't know. It's possible it could go on for stupid amounts of time. Although I do kind of like the ability, if this is triggered, like if I had taken this and played the Edict of Nantes, I would get the tolerance, which is very helpful. But, okay. Affects all Catholic PRs that have 2 or more Protestant areas and all Protestant PRs that have 2 or more Catholic areas. Each affected PR gains 2 unrest. Who has 2 or more of the wrong religion? I think the answer is no one. The English solved their problem. The French haven't fallen into their problem. The Austrians haven't. Poland isn't Protestant at all. So no one is affected, but we trigger these things. And we got some cash, right? So the first of these is Unrest Rebellion. We roll the dice as if it's page 37, but I get a maximum of 1 rebel die. And I think that's total. And I actually get none because I'm happy. This was safe. Spain actually got some really lucky rolls. I haven't gone any further. I wanted to just point out how fucking tedious this is. Actually, I still have this to roll. How tedious this is when there's a lot of unrest. Same as in the unrest period, too. Okay. English are safe, strangely. They've solved their problem. Austria. Looks like they're all happy. But the Poles got an issue. These happening mid-turn, these rebellion rolls, are much, much more devastating than at the end during the rebel phase. Because, like Poland lost cubes. They've only got 1 cube left. I can't do what I wanted to. I'm going to be facing a white peace or something. I just lost my war, right? I just lost my war due to these events. Another thing to keep in mind when you're looking at going into war, if you don't have a good stockpile of stuff available, the events can screw you over pretty damn hard. So now we go to the Protestant expansion, which I lost my page because I only have 1 bookmark. Okay. And then we have more deaths. Wow. Spread of religious. Determine whether a cluster is any body. Place Protestant counter-reform in any area adjacent to the cluster can be over C. And I, as who? Who drew this? France drew this. So France gets to make the expansions. That's interesting. The net effect, an expansion into Leon. Over here, expansion into the Low Countries. From this cluster, I'm missing one there. There should be. I thought all of Denmark was one, all of modern Denmark was one thing, but the islands are different from that. They should have both been Protestant already. From this sort of northern area up here, oops, I screwed up. Because this is all, no, this is not connected, that's at sea. And in fact, honestly, this is also at sea. So it is a separate cluster. That should have spread twice, but I'm not going to do that now. But I am going to spread it once. So one of them, the Swedes went into here, or the Swedish area. But this other one is going to go into Pomerania, I guess. If I can find their religion. Oh, there it is. Okay. Of course, that's all kind of turned into one northern cap of Protestantism up there. Still no Counter-Reformation in play. We need the council. And then the final thing is going to be some deaths. I'll look over them relatively quickly. I don't want to run the camera as fast as I move. But Charles is dying. His death left no one in place, so we have an interregnum there. Elizabeth got sick. I think that's all that happened, and we draw the second to last card available. Smallpox. Place hearts on every area on the America map, which is adjacent to and another area adjacent to the token just placed. For every 2D on this event, place an on I don't know, on any new area adjacent to the previous token placed. Is that the immediate previous token placed? I don't know. That's what it kind of sounds like. Distant provinces with those on them provide half the normal strength when calculating MC for NPR purposes as well as money. And then I think we also will get, I think that's also, that's an attrition. Ugh. Okay. Well, that gets us around the cycle of the round. The French are done. And everybody's just in horrible shape. Horrible things are happening. Protestantism spreading throughout the empire. It's inching its way into Prussia, towards the Poles. Boy, do they not want to have to deal with this. Tolerance or no. There are rebellions happening where, like Kulm here has turned Prussian again. No longer own it. Spain has Protestants in it. All depends on who picks the card. They get to direct this stuff. How much does that bother me compared to the other thing? Somehow that doesn't bother me in the same sort of way. Although, obviously, I feel like none of the players should have this kind of control over the Protestantism, over the spread. They really should have very little control, right? But they might have some, and somehow that doesn't feel as ugly gamey as just the idea of like all the kings dying and knowing that they're going to die and selecting the card to kill to kill multiple rulers off at once and whatever. That really disturbed me. Of course, if you're prepared for that and have cards in reserve that have rulers on them, it's not that terrible. The fact that I haven't been banking cards as effectively as I should be because of a rules misunderstanding is a problem. But yeah, I mean, we're still generating an interesting story out of this, right? The story of I engineered a marriage and maybe murdered someone over here, and it caused Francis and Suleiman or whoever to have heart attacks is a lot more disturbing. But there you have it. Just to me, at least. Now, some of this stuff, maybe not the chain, all the rulers being chained to a single symbol or whatever. Some of this, though, would disturb me even less, moving the Protestants around, whatever, if the game was even more abstracted. If I felt more like, and this is the thing, like in a game like History of the World or Britannia or something, I kind of don't mind me being the god of those people and looking over them instead of whatever else I'm doing. But here I'm making decisions that have a lot of connection to the kind of decisions that the rulers are making. I'm declaring war. I'm, making diplomatic actions. I'm expending effort to explore all this. It's not like I'm just this guiding force behind a people, like I would be in Civilization, for example. Pushing on, Spain is going to trigger their event. And they're going to take their king because they don't have the admin cubes to buy the king. Now, there's a couple of choices here. First of all, I get my cash, which is a big part of why I wanted this, was to get some piles of cash there. I hope that's right. I don't know why there's all those ones there. I have an interregnum, so I want to get Philip here. 1 king, 2 kingdoms. I get 2 cubes in Portugal, and the rest of it doesn't apply because I don't have a marriage. I wasn't able to engineer that. The other option is I could expend a prestige for 2 peace cubes. I don't think that's worth it. Prestige is how you win the game. And the idea of turning 2 cubes in for a permanent victory point sounds pretty good to me. So I'm going to just take my Portuguese cubes. But we don't really have a Spanish marriage happening here of any kind. And Spain is in so much trouble. I considered taking the screw France over with the wars of religion, because France screwed me over with that Protestantism. But I kind of need my king, and it might be nobody picks it. I certainly didn't want the smallpox epidemic. This is probably how that money ended up on the French thing. And we get the Council of Trent, finally. Place a counter-reform token in central Italy. All Catholic PRs must choose either counter-reformation. Now this is what this is how you get this, I guess, right? And that would be the cleanse heresy? No. Well, I don't remember. Somebody, the Austrians have, I believe, a card that gives them a point if they go counter-reformation. But this just shows up. Now, it doesn't trigger immediately, but if you enact counter-reformation, you pay 3 admin or lose a stability. So you can do it either way. To adopt counter-reform to state religion and place one in your capital area. Or stay indifferent and lose 2 prestige. Interesting choice. Too bad Austria has already fired off their event. Now, again, if you memorize the events, you would know that you need this to meet your requirements, that you need this event to be played, and maybe nobody will play it. But I'm looking around. England has, but they're Protestant. They have the admin points to do it. France has the admin points to do it. There are advantages to going counter-reformation. Are there disadvantages? I don't know. I really don't know. But remember, counter-reformation works just like Catholic. And it'll allow you to spread. So that might be a worthwhile consideration for the French, at least. Of course, they can't trigger this. And if Turkey or England doesn't trigger this, and honestly, I don't know why either would, there may be no opportunity for a counter-reform to happen. Now, England in particular doesn't want it to happen. They would like everyone to go Protestant. They would like, I don't know, but it would make their life easier if more of Europe was Protestant. I can't see creating the Counter-Reformation from their point of view. Turkey, Protestantism is like a disease, you know. If it infects the Catholic areas, it's going to force them into ugly choices. So again, these two countries don't really particularly want to see a counter-reform. They're the only ones with events left. And again, if you knew what the events were in advance, which you're supposed to, you could pre-plan for it. But again, I kind of don't know how much it's right to pre-plan completely, right? That's always been one of my objections to the concept of EU after I've played it the first couple times, was I started to know the events too much. Same thing with these, and why I want to randomize them and make it so that maybe Protestantism doesn't arise, or maybe the counter-reform doesn't happen. The problem is, some events I consider to be absolutely vital and that you kind of should need to know and plan for, and maybe this is one of them, and maybe the Protestantism is one of them. I mean, I think the whole story doesn't become right, without the religious conflict and without the bare, you know, sort of the skeletal framework, and I feel like this is part of that. And also, players knowing those cards might be absolutely important. Just like knowing how the 30 Years' War works in the old EU is almost de rigueur if you're playing, you know, one of the countries that's going to possibly be involved in it. So it's hard to find your place there, and this should be gone. I already killed off people. A moment of panic there because I realized, hey, Spain just did an event. But yeah, there are events under here. That one is not the one that I was processing. That's one that I completed, and it should be in the discard. Nothing against France or anything, but this one gives me a pile of money and a cube. So I'm going to play the Wars of Religion with England. I don't feel like there's anything vital I need to do, and that cube may be of some value. Add a Protestant token, 3 unrest, and 3 rebels in a French region. A Protestant token. Well, that's interesting. What is a French region? A French area. It's not a core area. So I could put it down here and cause some Protestantism to spread over there. Otherwise, it's going to be, oh, I could put it over here in the empire. That'll hurt Austria more. Or I could put it closer to me. I don't particularly want France to turn Protestant. I would rather cause problems. And I'm fine causing problems here. It's got to be in a single area. Okay, that makes sense. Why don't we make this Protestant and 1, 2. Oh, not Nantes. 3. There is an unrest. 3 rebel armies. The link between Aquitaine and the English might have something to do with why that became more Protestant. Or not. Who knows? And we're not going to do Edict of Nantes. We don't want to do that for them. So we give them a stability loss. There's going to be a rebellion in Paris. Paris is the same religion, so no matter what, the rebellion is going to be just a standard one. But it might have been possible that that rebellion, you know, if I had made the Paris region or area Protestant, then it opens up a question of whether this follows that special rule. And I could look it up and make some decision. But then we're also going to massacre the Huguenots. So France loses another stability. Boy, it sucks to be France. You know, I'm helping Austria out here, who's doing better, and they must exhaust 2 armies. But the biggie is, I get a military cube. Yay! France, on their side, does get Henri IV. Remember, to put the money on the last couple. I always have trouble doing that. Now this is kind of problematic for Austria, because now France can throw a king down who's a good general. At least as good a general as before. Having some issues with my digestive tract now. Inhaled smoke the wrong way. Like swallowed it. Okay. Otherwise, it would have been a great time for me to launch my attack with Rudolph. But I kind of have to anyway. So, onward and upward, I guess. And we march in and we'll have a battle. So France has all the advantages, right? France has cannon. Both sides have janissaries. Austria, though, has this extra 6 armies. So we have a dozen armies to play with. And the French will commit their monarch to the battle because this is really important. Okay. So Austria gets 1 extra die for battle. I'm looking to see if there are any cards there. There's nothing here that'll help. But there's something here that will. Military tradition. Veterans. We're taking 2 battle dice away from the French. But this is only for 1 round of combat. Okay. So I get my 4 dice as Austria. Oh, I shouldn't move that quickly. My 4 dice give me 1 hit on the French. The French would be getting 6 dice, minus 2 for the veterans. And they cause 2 hits. I only have 1 cannon. 1 Austrian, 1 Allied. Those Allied troops are actually better than the Austrian troops because I can use them everywhere. But I can't lose the entire Austrian army or else I don't have them at all anywhere. Okay. We fight on. The Austrians get their 4 dice. 3 hits on France. Okay, and I've got 7 there. 6 dice for the French. 2, 4, 5 hits on the Austrians. Whew. How's it looking? I got 5 to 5. It's not looking good. But I feel like Austria has to win this battle. One, 2, 3 hits on the French. I have 3 hits to complete. There's 4 infantry for the French. They get their full 6 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits on Austria. Austria has lost the battle. That means no cube. And the Austrian army disappears. Not good, but, you know, we had to take our chance, right? France is powerful. All right, Poland. Where is Poland? Poland could pass. If Poland wins the battle, they can win the war and go for something other than a white peace. So we have to go in. Do we bring the Polish king? I guess we do. Because he brings an extra die. I don't know. So here come the Poles. This is against 2. 2 is not very many. Did I need the extra die? Nah, but I'm probably pretty safe. So I have... Poland has nothing. Shitty town. Yeah, inside joke, man. Shouldn't share inside jokes. I get an orange die as well, which isn't likely to help much, but I'm probably not going to get killed. Cost 2 hits, that's good enough. My enemy kills my king, man. Causes 2 hits to the Poles. Doesn't kill, but wounds my king. He's not that good a king. I can draw for equally good. I've won the battle, though, because I wiped out the enemy. So I get a cube back. I can actually successfully siege something. If I had cannon, I could take both towns. Now, I don't want to capture the capital because I won't be able to take that. But yeah, this is fucked up. And the Austrian army's gone, so they're not going to cause any issue. They are completely defeated, and will probably, you know, something's going to happen. Them being completely defeated is sufficient, right? We go to the Turks. Don't have enough cubes. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to reorganize. I want to conquer Levant. That's own, occupy 4 more provinces in Syria and Palestine. Well, not going to get that. Not going to get that by any means, right? Actually, I could. I could get lucky. Okay. I am going to siege with one of my 2 artillery. And take the port towns. This is going to make life complicated later. But I take the 2 port towns. I put cubes on for those. And next turn, I did not play this. Next turn, I can move forward. You know, I could spend both cubes. Yes. I'm spending both cubes. I'm taking the other town as well. Because if this goes long enough, I can win more. On to France. France's is very easy. We have Savoy. We won it. So we spend a cube. We'll be getting a town there on Savoy, but that'll be a control marker in there. And this is going to be kind of problematic because Savoy is a large town, but that's okay. My artillery allows me to take it. I'm not really sure I have the kind of army that I need to move forward. I may need to build a new army. or maybe deal with this problem. I don't know. All right, Spain pays down their debt and passes over there. I'm really kind of stumbling around today in terms of like mentally. I don't feel, I mean, I just woke up, but the main thing is, I don't know what, you know, I'm not sure if I'm going dancing or not. I just don't feel it in my heart, but that's been becoming more and more the thing. And if I think back 15 years ago or so, when I was here and in sort of kind of similar situation where like life had no meaning, I had, you know, nothing to look forward to or anything, and I generally tended to make it out anyhow, and I've had that happen a couple of times recently where I'm just like, oh shit, it's now or not, you know, and I just get dressed and go out on automatic. But yeah, I don't know. At this point in the day, I do not feel terribly motivated. The big question for the English is, do I want to keep trying to explore? Because I could rearrange my goals and end up with 2 diplomatic cubes. I think at least one exploration makes sense. Doing a second one would put me in the same risky position that I was in before. I'm not going to reach the Maritime Empire. I think that's impossible at this point. But, yeah. Okay. So, let's go for North America again, because it's the most interesting for me. I have goals to settle there. Well, I didn't spend my cubes. Really, I gotta get in the habit of doing it at the same time every time, right? You know, so that I know the issue. That allows me to find a number 1. Well, pretty sure New England is on my card. Whereas it's actually easier for me, maybe not. Yeah, I don't know if I got a 2 that's in there. Let me check that card. Like Spain, I need 2 of them, but unlike Spain, I can hit on a 1, 2, or 3. And in fact, although Virginia here has been taken, Canada and Hudson Bay are still open. Let's see. So I would have had 2 1s, a 2, and a 3 there. However, I'm not going to be able to colonize 2 areas at once. So this is probably my last action. I don't want to risk another ship just because it seems like a crappy thing to do. All right, the Austrians. The Austrians have problems. Their army has been defeated. Savoy has been beaten back. However, the French don't have much of an army either. I got an extra piece. If I build up an army, I might be able to do something. What I can do is the replenish manpower minor action, shift these into there, build an army. I know, I know, but it gives me something to challenge the French with, and I think it's worth it. I screwed up. The Poles went to war with Prussia, with Brandenburg. And this is what's hard, because these symbols, they're all close together. But to me, no, they couldn't have. These are red and white. No, this has a little blue in it. Stettin is the capital. No, I went to war with Stettin. Okay. So, if only I had another cube available to me. But as it stands, I can siege 1 location, and I can take Stralsund, and I'll be able to come out of this with some sort of victory. I'm thinking Stettin is worth more to me. If I take Stralsund away from them, yeah, I get a town. But with Stettin, I can secure desired succession instead, because I have the loser's capital. That would remove all marriages and alliances from the loser's capital other than the victor. The victor gets 3 per thing removed, and the token owners lose 3 each. Then none of that applies. But if the victor has a flaming bloop on the loser's capital, they must flip it over and score P equal to the loser's tax income. That's 2. The victor may, if the loser is an NPR, add 4 cubes to the area, or if the loser is a PR, replace the loser's ruler with a leader from the discard pile. The victor can then gain an alliance with the loser. That would put me in a position where if I draw a subjugate card, not that I want to use it for this, it would be relatively easy to subjugate them. I think overall, for the simple fact that this does not qualify for my Polish Navy card, I think overall this is the better result. Go for the capital, install my own succession in there, and, you know, maybe I end up incorporating them, maybe not. And it ends up not being that terrible a result for the Austrians either. The bad result is more territory in the empire is being lost. Here it's not that direct. So I think we're going to go for that. That gets me some prestige points as well as an avenue towards what I really want, which is both ports. I kind of don't want just one port. I am very disturbed, though, by how similar these two look. Well, they're not really. This is like a bird. This is like, I think, a lion. But it's very hard to distinguish, and it's one of the difficult things in this game overall, and I would say in the computer game as well, because the computer game uses the little shields everywhere to designate who owns what in a similar fashion. The old EU handled things with the provinces as their own little bordered areas. That could get kind of confusing too, but with the control markers overlapping and whatever, there were never enough. Just like there's not enough stuff in this game. It's just too big a topic. And I mean, you know, this doesn't have a whole shitload of counters when it comes down to it. If you look over the whole counter mix, you're like, huh, that's not a lot. But the original, oh man, I don't remember. It's like 3,500 or something. Just nasty, nasty quantities. But I like it. That puts me to the Turks, who are pursuing their war, I guess. Gotta keep going, gotta keep going. France. France has successfully sieged Savoy itself. I'm not getting anything out of that. I feel like I'm facing... I don't have enough army to keep going, and then I've got this fucking mess going on, this rebellion happening in southern France. If I could just come to peace with Austria Savoy at this point and operate elsewhere, and it feels like I should be able to, right? And I guess I could negotiate a deal with the Austrians. Hey, don't build your army, don't fight me. I'm going to go deal with that. You deal with your thing. Savoy's not going to fall. You're okay. But instead, there's no mechanism in the game to kind of enforce a peace at this point. Even though the turns... The pulsing of the turns, intermingling the economic and the military operations all in the same sort of bunch, feels like you should be able to come to peace. Maybe it should require somebody to play a dip cube or whatever, and it just causes the peace conditions to take place. Or maybe both players have to agree, or maybe both of these things. But there should be some means of enforcing a peace as opposed to, yeah, I'll put this on the back burner while I go deal with these because Austria has agreed to peace, but we just haven't, filled it out yet. The main thing here being, most wars don't last 5 years, which they do in the original EU, much less whatever the 15 or so that this game imposes on you. Of course, I think declarations of war were for the whole 5 years, period, the end, in the original EU. I seem to remember you declare war during a diplomacy step, which again is outside the military phases of the game. And then you fight your battles, and then at the end of all the military phases, which are exactly the same length, like the amount of military capabilities that everybody has in terms of like the amount of opportunity of time to operate, is exactly the same for everyone who's in any war. Like, wars won't kind of end early, except that, oh, look, both armies are destroyed, they're done, or whatever. Or if somebody's out of money, they're not going to keep pursuing their war. That's the one way that the wars wouldn't fill the whole 5-year period of time in that. But instead, here, the war starts at some variable point in the turn, and then kind of it can come to peace elsewhere. What I'm thinking, so if you think about the old, if you think about Here I Stand, I don't think there's really a war situation going on in there. Maybe I'm mistaken. Was there a diplomacy table in that? I don't remember. I had this same issue when I was thinking about this guy, Time of Wars, where I couldn't really remember. And I think there is actually a diplomacy table where you keep track of the wars, etc. But maybe you come to peace by using that. Basically, I think coming to peace should be a part of this card mechanism in some way, instead of an end of turn type of thing. But there's some mechanisms inside the game that kind of force that. So like the penalty for being continuously at war and stuff like that is triggered by the turn structure rather than by, by the normal pulsing in the game. It feels to me like in order to match the timings correctly, you should have a lot of the same capability, a lot of the capabilities for enforcing a peace, etc., within that normal pulsing, rather than at the end of the turn. Maybe give an additional opportunity at the end of the turn, simply because that's when the penalties really accrue. And maybe a cheaper one or whatever, and people would always take it. Well, I think no matter what, France needs to build an army. They don't have much of one, though. Got a good leader. So the question there is, do I burn one of my military to build a bigger army? I don't think so. I think 2 infantry is good enough. Although, what the hell with this army? What do I do with this? I can't fight it. I can't fight it because it'll cost me a cube to get out of there and attack it. I gotta look up those rules because I would really like to clear that shit out of there. I think it's gonna cause me problems. I don't know for sure. I don't know if this situation would have happened because what I've got here, trying to trace down this stupid fucking rule and what it could possibly mean, because Units moved into or recruited in an area, one or more NPR provinces. Yeah. No battle is triggered with an NPR if units hostile to the NPR were in that area prior to the current turn. That's not an NPR. Those are rebels. But the only way that this shit can happen that I understand is with rebels. I can't figure out a way with an NPR that there could be forces of both in the same space. Okay. So it's necessary with the NPR because the NPR isn't actually on the board. That's what it's all about. So like the French sitting here don't have to fight the NPR again, although they sieged it and took it over. Okay. So that's all it's about. And there should have been a battle here. Or I think. I'm not absolutely certain about that because the rebels showed up at a time when they wouldn't fight, when it wouldn't cause a battle or something. I don't remember what the fuck happened. Here's what I'm doing. I'm just saying, screw it. And I'm moving my army, consolidating my armies, and doing the fight. This may be cheating in favor of England. I don't know. And I kind of don't care. So I've got an artillery in there. And all right, we destroy the rebels. And I mean, we probably could have done something, you know, similar to this to them. I don't know. Maybe we would have lost an extra army out of it. I really don't care. There we go. The battle is over. The English have gotten rid of that weird problem. But we had the same kind of situation where the Spaniards were facing a big pool of stuff. And I don't think that a battle is triggered under those circumstances. I don't know. It's by event card and trying to find the thread of this whole thing. The problem is this special exemption for the NPRs because there are no actual NPR troops on the board. That's why that exemption exists. Now I understand it, I think. Who knows, because my mind is just a blur. And we bring it to the Austrians. Well, death or glory, man. Death or glory. France has put their king in charge already. They get 3 extra dice. Nothing else. Okay. Austria. Both have janissaries. France has cannons. Austria gets 1 extra die. They made the attack. They've got 4 dice. I get 2 hits on the French. The French have 6 dice, I think. They have all the advantages here. I don't know why the Austrians are fighting them. 2, 3, 4 hits on the Austrians. Oh, I actually had an extra guy. All right, there goes the Austrian army again. Defeated once more. Great. And once again, with no Austrian army there, we've lost the war. Had we not attacked, we would force the French to defeat us to get the results they wanted. Stupid us. Oh well. Keeping the mindset of how pieces are obtained in this game, it's hard. It's hard, you know. Like everything else, there's so much kind of deterministic pre-planning type stuff. Now, this isn't there's tons of luck in the game. There's no problem with that. But being able to look and say, yeah, I shouldn't have attacked. Well, oops. Yeah. I don't know what else to fucking say. What about Poland? Poland's out. Part of it is I'm just trying to push through this. And I don't know why. Because I want to play. But playing isn't really worth it if I'm getting garbage results. Right? I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't mind if I wasn't on camera. I would just write it off. And I'm just writing it off anyway. Turkey. Turkey's plan was to attack. Can we? Yeah, we have a fair-sized army there. We march in. We're facing a big Mamluk army now. It's 7 cubes. I had better pull that out. That's big enough. To think about. And they all have to be standing. Why, when I move things, I don't know. I don't know. You know, like I took the French and I pushed them into the dead pile right away. So, I don't know why that's necessary for me. Okay. So, the Turkish army has no leadership. Well, that sucks. Oops. But I have all the toys. So, we draw a leader for the Mamluks. They still don't have one. That's very helpful. And the big Turkish army has a couple of cannons in it. Yeah, I really could have used Suleiman. I get 1 hit. And the Mamluks only get 2 dice because of my elite soldiers or whatever. They get nothing. Okay, they have 2, 4, 6. I have 6. It's an even situation, so they'll stick around for another round. This is gone. It's important because it can't hit. That's why I track it that way. 3 hits. That's going to do a lot of damage. I really don't want things to go multiple rounds. I want to keep chasing them out. Now, in Egypt, they'll fight to the death. And they miss. They flee because they're a smaller force. I get my cube back. We're going to be able to siege this. We're not going to be able to take Egypt and take the Mamluks out in 1 bite, but that's okay. Most of the times it takes me 2 bites in the original game as well. It is possible to win the war all at once, though. What the hell do the French do? So the French are a lot weaker, but I have a general. I don't have enough force to deal with my rebels. We're not going to be able to take all of Savoy down. What peace options might we take here against them? Could we vassalize them? We occupy the loser's capital and at least one of their de jure provinces in another area. Okay. We can fight a battle and vassalize them, and I believe that'll solve our imperial border conflict. Yeah. Sounds good. So we spend a cube, and that might be, it's not sufficient for them. We spend a cube and go into Geneva. That's going to be a fight. French get 6 dice. There's 2 units. 2 units facing 2 units. This is dangerous. Six dice. I got my 2 hits. And Savoy gets 3 dice. But only 2 units. We wipe out the French army. Well, that wasn't successful. We can go for a different kind of peace, but we can't vassalize them now. Pity, vassalization would have been the thing. However, we can build another army, can't we? 1 cube to refresh troops, or we could buy mercenaries. 1 cube to refresh troops, but mercenaries might be a better move. 1 cube to move in, fight a battle again, and 1 cube to siege, so we'd need to rearrange. Not going to be pleasant. It's going to put us deeply in debt, but that is, I think, the move we want to make. We want to, and mercenaries cost $2 over the base cost, so infantry cost double. Certain weird sort of fury that's making me want to play. I don't know, just this energy that's going on. So, back up. I am English pass Austria. I don't have much. I could cube and get one more military action, try to build another army, but it would just be a mercenary army. So, last pass. Everybody gets one more real turn. Turkey can hold off their event until after that real turn. Do we have enough money to pay off our stupid debt? No, of course not. Oh well. Poland already passed, on to the Turks. The Turks. Well, it's obvious what I want to do. I have 2 cannon, 2 cubes. They capture 3 areas. This is on their last turn. I would have had an opportunity, if the turn was going to last longer, to try and manage that vassalization with a cube play and all kind of other stuff. Unfortunately, I'm not going to now. I still win the war, though. This is black, I think. Well, I don't know why there's 1 there and 3 more, but anyway. I don't actually know what I want to do because my goals have just shifted. I can't complete what I want it to. I could quell some unrest. That might not be a terrible idea, except I'm going to get unrest in both these areas anyway. I don't know if this is wise or not, but I'm going to do that. That brings me back to Turkey, and Turkey has to make the choice. What does Council of Trent do? It does something I don't necessarily, like I said, I don't necessarily want to have happen. Now here, it's the players affected who get to make these choices. This is different from most cards, where it's the player who picks the card who gets to make the choices. Here it's every country. I got no problem doing Smallpox. So I get more money for it. I will pay off some debt. By the way, Turkey's getting close to their counter limit. And I think that's a hard limit. I think once you run out of small towns, you're out. Big towns can be replaced by 2 small towns. I don't think there's anything that allows you to expand beyond, you know, your whatever 40 small towns that we're getting awfully close to with the Turks. That's an interesting facet, and one which may reduce my capability of meeting certain goals as I, you know, increase the size of my empire beyond what is kind of reasonable. And, you know, it means, hey, I've got Naples here, but pushing into the Balkans further may just not be possible, right? I get enough for 1 more big advance, but I certainly, if I had taken out Persia, I would not have that capability. You could make an argument that that Turkey in particular, which did probably come pretty close to its maximal size in game, started having troubles once it got big. Yeah, you have to remember, you know, Rome kind of reached its size limit. Now that larger than any of these, but it also had a very, very centralized authority, which until you get very, very late in the game, you're just not there. You're just not there. Now, Russia controlled a whole hell of a lot of territory, but some of it was very, very sparsely populated, so that kind of doesn't count. Britain, the colonial areas are treated differently than Europe itself. So again, that kind of doesn't count in the same way. I don't know. All right, let's take a look at how smallpox works. We put a heart on an area on the American map which is adjacent to a claim or a town, and another in another area adjacent to the tokens just placed. Well, it gives me the capability of spreading problems. But adjacency is not like strict adjacency. It doesn't outlaw putting it where it actually is. So, I don't remember how much money was on this. I think it was $4. So that means there should be 3 cubes, 3 hearts total to be fucking placed. Yeah, I'm angry too, for no good reason. Like this fury it's really fury. It's not just nervous energy. Oh, okay, so this doesn't really do anything. I mean, honestly, this isn't going to do shit. It weakens the area with plague in case somebody was going to go conquer these things. So that would be this. Let's hit the Incas with it. But I believe these get removed, that they recover, you know, that's not very much. The thing I kind of didn't want to have happen is this attrition. And we look for that. All PRs that are at war except you, this is Turkey, must remove 1 land unit or casualty for every deployed units they have. Okay. I'm at war, unaffected. France is at war. There goes their other army. Great. Spain is not at war. England is not at war. Austria is at war. They have no army. Poland is at war. And that's that. Okay. France doesn't get a go. This technically, so I don't screw anything up, goes here. We have to deal with all the triggers here. The event doesn't fire, but we have another attrition, okay? Poland loses another army. Everyone else is wiped out. Green and orange are triggered. These are non-player triggers. Green, that can't be green. There is no green. Must be blue? I don't know. Is there a green? There is a green. There's green. Okay. Green is DNR expansion. All DNPRs of the same color annex adjacent NPR provinces prioritized to areas where the DNPR already owns provinces. Then provinces adjacent to their run by land. They will target eligible NPR with the lowest tax income. Okay. I think Portugal grabs Fez. I think that's the... Oh, we're in trouble here. Is that Portugal? That's not Portugal. Need to find more counters. kind of made a mistake. I replaced one of those, but I've got this whole pile of counters here. Trying to match the color the best I can. I have to spill them all out, see what I got. And I spilled it over the area of the rolls that I need to read. Because I've got two more that have to go, the Netherlands and our buddies over there in the Mamluk territory. Funny that I'm using this bag. I have these other bags. This is actually probably my better one in terms of lots of different colors, but also this has a lot of big counters. I should be moving the small counters into here. So these are the ones, these guys are divided in half between two colors, and these guys are solid color, but somehow a lot of stuff just ended up in there. And then I got, I have this other one here. I always keep these spare counters and I pull them out of the games because they're not really useful in the game they're in usually, unless, you know, I find a use for them in that game and then I immediately use them. But, you know, just, and I may have others elsewhere. These are all whites. Just very helpful though. As you can see, every now and then a game comes along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all these into this bag back, but I'm going to try to get these guys that don't belong in that bag, that fit better in one of these other bags, into the other bags. So it's going to take me a little while. Working my way through. The problem is I got sloppy, and especially once this bag filled up and I didn't replace the bag. This bag was meant for odd shapes, big things, and in some cases like still connected piles. So I've got a bunch of these weird shiny gold pieces that I know would come in handy if there's a game that needs more gold counters and has things that are shiny gold like that. It may be thinking Cosmic Encounter. I don't know. But it's just, it's like this weird sort of, what am I up to here? Oh, I know what it is. It's if I wanted to expand Cosmic Encounter because I don't have the pieces for it or something. But they're square pieces and I think it's circles that I need. So it's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I don't know where something like that, you would think I would know where it came from. What game do I have that has shiny gold, you know, glittery gold counters? It must not be something too old. It must be something I got in the last 20 years or so. Things are funny here, and I don't know if they're meant to be different or not. So over here they give this whole description. Place a matching on a province adjacent. This may not be a capital. If a province selected has one of these, put it underneath, thus making it a core province of the DNPR that another nation is laying claim, that another nation is physically occupying and owning. But auto-resolution says all DNPRs of the same color as symbol annex an adjacent NPR province. Okay, so they will not fuck with a major power. That's all. Okay, good enough. Okay, and this pisses me off. So, do the Dutch own anything here? Yeah, they own this one. Okay, good. Liege goes over. But if they did not own this, they would have gone into this area, I guess. And I think taken Frankfurt, which is way over into the empire. Really hard to justify. And over here, NPR, this is pretty easy. That's going to be Tripoli. And in fact, I may, screw it. I'll use little ones for now where I can. To keep things from being too confusing. Okay, so I think that's all the greens and oranges. And now we have illness among the cubes, among the squares. And that knocked Poland's king out, as well as nobody else died, but there was some illness among, or aging among some others. It's crazy, crazy shit happening here. Okay, and I think that puts us to the end into the peace and rebels phase. Unfortunately, if I'm going out tonight, I absolutely do not have time to finish this video and age off. But yeah, we're in a position where countries are ignoring internal dissent and problems in order to pursue their war aims. In the case of France, Turkey has a rebellion over there. And we'll see how that works out. I mean, to some extent, there's a, look, you know, you go for the war, you take it, and now what? You know, you want, what's really nice about this one for Turkey is I believe this gives them both their victory cards. So that was exceptionally important. For France, I don't know. You know, they keep fighting Savoy, and it doesn't go well anytime they do it, which probably is not inaccurate. Savoy remained. Boy, this battery is not reacting the way it should. Damn it. God damn it. I gotta deal with that. But, all right, I turned it. The charger is so fucking finicky. I don't know what it is, but it's probably shitty construction. I bought a cheap one. And now I'm stuck with it for life, basically, because that's how I operate. So, I think I've blown hot and cold on this before. I'm up here trying to squeeze out 45 minutes, hoping I can get the peace and rebels done in that. The NPR invasions phase, it hinges on the definition of controller. I think at other times I did not react properly with this. If an NPR, which is not an active ally, is at war with a PR, Savoy is not an active ally. I don't know what it is. And but it's not providing troops to the Austrians. So an inactive ally who's at war would be in the same situation. And none of the areas that the NPR currently controls provinces contain units hostile to the NPR. The PRs may now face an invasion. It hinges on the definition of the term control. Now, control is provinces are controlled by their lawful owners unless they are occupied by rebels or enemies. The only provinces Savoy, for example, controls are these two. They don't control Savoy itself. So I do believe they get to come back and make an NPR invasion because the French army has been destroyed. This all works out to be an incredibly kind of, I don't know if it's arcane, but randomized situation as to whether or not you're subject to an NPR invasion. So if you leave a province unattacked, unsieged, the NPR can't come back after you. So the Poles are safe because they only sieged one province and the other one doesn't get to attack back. And it makes sense to some extent because, you know, I'm in the same area. It's not like they can muster a force from somewhere else. But I believe the Mamluks and Savoy both get to launch an attack. So what does that mean? May now face an invasion. Go to some other page to find. It's like a choose your own adventure, man. Okay. And this is an advanced role, but we are playing with it. If all three of the criteria below are satisfied, the NPR is not an active ally of any PR. None of the areas where the NPR currently controls provinces contain units hostile to that NPR. There's at least one eligible invasion target in an area adjacent. The target area must contain a belonging to the PR hostile to the NPR. Any of the NPR's provinces that are occupied by an enemy qualify. Areas are ineligible if they are adjacent by sea only, and the sea zone is hostile to the NPR. Areas are ineligible if they contain units belonging to a PR which is not at war with the NPR. Okay. I believe both cases qualify. Okay, we go on. If there are two or more eligible adjacent areas, pick the NPR's own capital. Okay, for Savoy it'll be that one. The area with the most of the NPR's core provinces, for Mamluks it'll be that one. Although honestly, I believe I could sail up and attack this. Core provinces are the ones with their little markers. An area adjacent to land to the NPR, okay, we go to Palestine. In the selected area, add rebellion to 2 belonging to the players at war with the NPR. Pick alphabetical? Yeah, fucking crazy. Okay, so Bourgogne and Franche-Comté both go into rebellion, or into unrest, due to the attack. These are all already in unrest. Why you don't want to fix things. Place NPR units equal to half the tax value of the provinces currently controlled by the NPR. Count these vassals as part. Resolve a battle immediately if there are any military units. From this point onward, these NPRs are rebels. Okay. So, a rebel shows up in there. Over here, I don't know. This does not specify resolve battles immediately if there are units available. Yeah, okay. So this has a tax value of 2, 3, 4, 5. Areas adjacent, right? 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's actually going to be a 4-army unit. They're basically mobilizing what they would give to an active ally, but at this point in the game, to retake their territory, or presumably take new territory. All right. That's enough that it requires a general to come up. There is no ruler here. We should have an interregnum marker. It got bumped. Okay. And I remember when that happened. I was looking for what made that noise, what got bumped. All right. That means we draw a general and see if they take it back. And I think this did not happen in the Austrian invasion of Hungary, the more recent one, or something. I don't know. I don't know how Hungary got this. Okay, we got Vlad. Vlad the Mamluk. He gets 2 extra dice. He's facing the Turks. He loses a die for elite troops. And he does 5 hits to the Turkish army. Okay, Turkey looked like they were doing well. Not so much anymore. It kind of doesn't matter. Well, yeah, it does. What did I have? I don't remember. Let's check the dice. I would be getting only 3 dice. I have nothing to my advantage. I don't know. I may have miscounted. I may have counted these as 2. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I do 5 hits. I wipe them out as well. So I don't suffer the important loss, which is that those might actually fall. However, I have an army in the game. That army is enough to win me the war. The fact that I have a reserve force. Okay. And we took care of that. Up here, it doesn't apply because the only area where the NPR has forces, has provinces, is occupied by the Poles. Perform this. This feels wanky to me, but it also feels absolutely wrong not to have this roll. Like, I'd rather the wankiness than NPRs can't defend themselves at all. Like, this follow-up attack is absolutely necessary. I just don't like how it kind of, how it feels kind of random, you know? I mean, it's like, okay. In both cases, I'm fine with it, but I kind of feel like this should have generated an attack. Just personal feelings. I think it should have. I feel like if that's all you have, you should still be able to get an attack in. What's worse, right, is if I understand it correctly. So here's the problem. This says none of the areas where the NPR currently controls provinces contain units hostile to the NPR. That's the problem. I think the actual rule on the NPR invasion, and I don't have that page anymore. Here. The NPR is not if none of the areas where the current, so this is the problem. The problem is that restriction, and it's in both places. I thought it was not in the NPR invasions rule itself. It seems to me that there should be, that this shouldn't count, but had I left one province unconquered, unsieged from the Turks, maybe that province shouldn't count towards the attack value, but there should still be an attempt to retake some of the territory. That's something I would change. I'm very disturbed by that limitation, and I don't understand its purpose. I really don't. It's like, are we holding that town hostage somehow? What's going on? Why can we not relieve what is essentially a besieged situation? Right? I don't know. Rebels siege or move. Are there any rebels on the board? Yes. Resolve areas in order of most rebels. I think that's here. For areas with both rebels and unrest, yes. The rebel in each area may siege any town. Okay, so 4 towns fall. Sorry, it's only unrest towns, right? May siege any town with unrest that they can. I got enough to take both. This is a religious rebellion. I don't know how much that matters, to be honest. I don't remember any consequences of that. France gets cubes here and here. Wow, France is in trouble. Where else do we have any? Over here. France is just fucked. This is a non-religious rebellion. We can't take Savoy back because it's too big. What do we take? What order do we pick these in? This is the only one is Franche-Comté. France loses it. Period. The end. Franche-Comté has been liberated. And is no longer part. Now, France has a vassal in Luxembourg. Luxembourg is not the capital of Burgundy. I don't know what's up with Franche-Comté is a non-vassalized Burgundian kingdom, but it and Luxembourg could combine, and we talked about this earlier as a possibility. Okay. Peace resolution. This is the general. Peace resolution. We have 2 total victories. Maybe 3. Does France have an army still? No, they lost their army. Okay. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. Wait, partial victories, whatever. I don't understand anymore. Let's go here. Automatic white peace. Neither side of the war occupies the other's provinces. Okay. This doesn't count. That's just been resolved and liberated magically. It couldn't happen with normal players. But I occupy Savoy's capital. So that's not a white piece. Nothing else is a white piece. Total victory, occupying all of their de jure provinces, not the case anywhere. Partial victory against an NPR. PR's deployed land units outnumber the total number of rebels in their areas, plus any deployed land units. That is the case against these two. So those are partial victories. Otherwise, I think it's an inconclusive result. Which may result in a white piece. But I'm not sure. Let us resolve that later. It's the last thing to do. For the Turks, they're going to take their conquest. This is kind of fucked up because I actually don't have to, right? Should there be occupied markers under all those? Yeah, I think there should be occupied markers under all those, so I have to take the conquest. I didn't put occupieds, but it kind of doesn't matter. Did I take anything up here? I don't remember. But I get them all, which means all these cubes but one go away, which is really useful because I would not want to be in that war any longer. And we get a truce here. We've gained a huge amount of territory. We have conquered the Levant. Syria and Palestine, yes. We gained 2 military cubes and a claim in Egypt and Cyrenaica. Sounds like a good deal. Can't go right back. But we can take a whole hell of a lot. And Tripoli might be its own little nation without, the Tunis. It might be its own little nation if I'm not careful. You don't think that can happen. Okay. Because as long as this is here, I have to be able to capture, capturing the capital can't be taken unless I take everything. Okay. Do the NPR counters disappear? No, I think I get to keep claim to them. Did I do this before this way? I don't know. I mean, Turkey as a dynamic NPR disappeared, but they were destroyed. So given that I have claims to things down here, I think they still have claim to all of this. All right. That goes to the Poles. The Poles are going to vassalize theirs because that is the best result. Oh, wait. We didn't score this. I get 5 points. Okay. And this goes away. This is 3B. Jesus. We're getting complicated where it's hard to take things. Safeguarding Anatolia. Owner vassalized 5 or more provinces in Karaman. I got 3, but they're not. That's 2. Okay, 3, yeah. 5 or more provinces in Karaman or areas adjacent to it by land that are not among your core provinces. That's been succeeded. Gain a claim in 3 of Rum, Kurdistan, Crimea, Syria, and Palestine. Yeah, I'm running out of these. I can take some off the board. I don't want to take my cores off the board. I don't know if I'm going to take that off the board. I could definitely take Cyrenaica off the board. What else do I want? Rum, Kurdistan. Rum. I don't know. Kurdistan, Crimea, Syria, or Palestine. Do I want claim to Crimea? That's basically the question. Or do I want it in Rum? I don't want to fight that. I'll put my claim there for now. That gets me 4 more prestige. Turkey's just rocking this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that gives them 2B. Wrong pile. And this is 3B. I don't know what gave me the right for this. 2C? Yeah. Yeah, we're getting a complicated pathway. All right. Now I got to figure out the French piece, because the French don't have an army, Savoy doesn't have an army, Austria doesn't have an army. I don't know what this results in. It may result in a negotiated peace. We haven't dealt with this one yet. Okay. Austria. Yeah. So, Austria and Poland can keep current board state to end the Polish war. But, and that can be done as a partial victory with no problems, and I can vassalize the people I want to vassalize. Because I took their capital, and we've got the disputed succession rules, which I have to go look up and see what those impact. There should be something here, and I'm sure it can be done under negotiation, but there should be something here for enforcing on DNPRs in particular, which is if you win and take their capital, if you win a total victory and take their capital, you can force them to remove all their claims. That would be, or whatever, their core provinces or whatever. I think that would be a useful move. Now, it doesn't terribly help because most of these would turn into them anyway, right? So I don't know, you know. But that just feels like a reasonable thing. Is to retract your claim to an area, essentially. And that's, in a way, what the core provinces feel like for them. To retract your claim for an area so that you're no longer, you know, they're not going to join you. Although, if politically they're ally, you know, if they're the same people and whatever, yeah, it might make sense. Especially doesn't make sense for the Mamluks. Vassalizing. I'm securing the desired succession. It is under the peace terms. All occupied provinces must be returned to their lawful owners. If the loser is an NPR, then the other war is in white peace terms. All their other wars end on white peace terms. Yeah. So, I get my royal marriage back. I score P equal to their tax income, which I think is 2. 1, 2. The victor may, if the loser is an NPR, add 4 cubes, or if the loser is a PR. No, wait, I get a vassalization out of this. I swear. That was the whole point. Okay. Right. I don't secure the succession. Give me those points back. Do I? I don't know. So I could get 2 points and an alliance with them, or I could vassalize them. I cannot vassalize them. Okay. So I may add 4 cubes, or and then the victor may then gain an alliance with the loser. Okay. So yeah, I do not get what I wanted. I would have needed to capture the other province, and then I could just take them. I would need the capital and the other province, is the problem. So now I've got 5 cubes plus the marriage, plus an alliance. I could have just taken a province had I set things up differently, and maybe I could trade for it or something. But that I decided was not worthwhile. My army can stay there because I'm allied, I think. I don't want it to. Okay. I also am doing the keep current board state with the Austrians, which puts Austria in a truce with Poland. Has Austria defended the empire? Yeah, kinda. I mean, not yet. Not yet. What's up with France? France, that was a white peace. That's enforced. I don't know. I don't understand what happened here. I don't understand what happened there. I do not have a victory. I do not have a peace. I think I'm still at war with Savoy. That's the one I couldn't resolve. I don't know why this got flipped over. Yeah, that's still at war, that's still at war. This is the one I didn't have a resolution to yet. So I'm right, I don't know what should be done. I need to read it. The situation here is Austria can't trade away anything with Savoy because Savoy didn't lose this war. I think, but I'm not sure, that Austria can declare themselves out of the war, can just, well, yeah, we're in an inconclusive result. Inconclusive result cannot keep total current board state. We are allowed white peace, if we wish. Negotiated peace. If agreeing to keep current board state, either side may exchange occupied provinces for ducats, and both sides may agree to liberate provinces if they give off all P gains from liberation. So, the problem here is the ally. Unless you have achieved a partial victory against your PR, you have not achieved this against your active allies. Now, I could allow France to win this war. I could declare that they won the war. I lose something for that, I believe. If a war against an external aggressor is lost by the emperor, they lose one. Bleh. So I don't want to lose the war. I don't mind a white peace, but a white peace comes with a prestige loss for both of us. But I'm willing to take that. It's like, okay, we don't want this war. I think this war goes on. I don't know. France has so much internal problem. There is a cost to being still at war which is more rebellions and stuff. Fuck it. France wants this war. Yeah. They're looking at it and saying, our economy can handle this. I don't know about yours, Austria. Yours doesn't look like it can. Austria could declare itself a loser. They're not willing to. France could accept a white peace, comes with prestige penalty, or they could declare themselves the loser, which would give Austria a bonus. And I don't know what could be done. So keep current board state would require returning the capital to the lawful owner, but I believe when that's done to a PR, to an NPR, that doesn't work. Which is important. That's something the old EU board game got really horrible. Like, you could generate quantities of money in that game through the peace conditions that those nations didn't have a chance of having. And if you were dealing with player power and generated that much money, they would just go into default. They would go bankrupt. You would get what they had. And that wasn't very useful. But I'm looking for the peace and allies here. I thought there was some restriction for the keep board state. Occupied capitals must be returned to their lawful owners, who must pay a ransom of 10. By default, apart from capitals, occupiers may keep all provinces they occupy. However, the victor, and only the victor, in place of keeping provinces that they occupy, may exchange these for provinces equal to their tax value. Return any of these provinces and demand that the loser pays them $3 per province. Liberate any of those provinces that are not core provinces. The victor may also gain an alliance with one liberated NPR and place 2 cubes. The victor may mix and match these options above. The total ducats can be demanded from the return of a realm's capital and other provinces, capped by 2 times the tax income of the loser. Okay, so that's the thing. PRs may... So the safest result, the one that hurts no one, right, and lets both players deal with their own situation and get to a peace. Austria wins the war. Keep current board status performed, and I believe Savoy would pay $8 for the return of their capital. If there's no winner to the war, I think the same could be done. Austria wants this, even the no winner to the war, although they really would like to win it. Okay, on a 1, Austria demands that they win the war. No. On a 1 or 2, France is willing to pursue the war further unless they're given at least a victory. No. Okay, so we're going to come to a peace. No side wins, and Savoy pays $8 to France in reparations. I'm not sure about this. Austria's like, wait a minute, you get $8? What the fuck, man? I need that $8. Nah, they're not going to push it. So yeah, they'll go with the automatic. Under the negotiated, I could require reparations from the French, and maybe I would take half that money or something. But screw it. We went out of the war pretty badly. We have things to do in our empire. And the French have enough problems. I get us partway through this to the prestige penalties. I'm stopping here. I have too many problems. I gotta go play my raid before I go dancing. It feels very funny to me. There are two countries I felt really fucked up, right, in the game at various points. Real fuck-ups. Poland especially, and Austria. Well, they're in second and third place. Yes, Turkey's running away with it. Turkey is just, nothing horrible's happening to them. And they're doing better than historically, honestly. They've done, it's hard to tell because they got more of Hungary historically by this point, but they're in fucking Naples, man. They're doing about as well as historically, I would guess, as they did, you know. Other countries, though, you know, it feels to me like England, a little behind, haven't really managed to colonize, but not by far. I'm in last place. Spain is definitely lagging in terms of their colonies, but we're starting to catch up. We're losing the Netherlands early, whatever. Not doing well at all, second to last place. And really, you know, it's basically there's three tiers to this game. The Turks, who are doing fantastic, the Austrians and Poles, who are doing okay. And then the rest of the powers. France. Has France screwed up? Yeah, you know, France had some trouble a couple of times on their attacks on Austria. And yeah. But in terms of like, what shape are these countries in for going forward? I don't feel like Austria's in good shape. Like, they keep looking at their missions and they're like, I can't do these, I can't do these. You know, Poland might be in good shape. Probably primarily because there's no threat of Russia in the game. But you know, the idea of Austria bailing seems so hard. What would it mean? Well, one thing it would mean is probably keeping your prestige points as you move from one realm to another. That's one of the mechanisms that's in place in the computer game. You keep the points that you gained, at least in the old versions. Again, I don't know how the new versions work for this. I've played them so little. But you used to be able to, yeah, I want to switch countries. I think you may have paid a penalty, though, for doing that, for abandoning your country. And I don't know how much it should be. You know, I could make it 5 prestige or something to say, you know, my country doesn't work anymore. Screw it. Make it into a DNPR. The unfortunate thing is, unlike in the original EU, where no matter what, you know, if you were like leaving a major power out of the game for some reason or another, or running them as an NPC, so like, you know, Austria runs as a non-player power for most of the game, but then can become one late in the campaign game. Countries like Brandenburg, Sweden, these countries have at least Poland, these countries have at least as much power as they would have as a player power in terms of expansion and whatnot due to the events and everything. I don't feel like that's the case in this game. I feel like the non-player realms are a lot weaker than they are in the board game. And I actually feel like the board game, that the computer game made them stronger even than the board game made them, right? In the sense that, I don't know, you know, I never got good. I don't get good at games, at computer games. But, you know, I felt like those major powers were able to do a lot. And with the bad boy points and stuff like that, that really picked on players and didn't pick on the non-players, they could get very, very powerful. And there's nothing, you know, there's nothing that would stop them. The rest of the world would not care about them. So, I don't know, man. Example of me fucking up with history. I was watching a YouTube channel and mentioned something that is directly in contradiction to what I've been saying here, which is, and you know, I checked and I'm wrong. Charles V did not inherit Bohemia. It was actually Ferdinand, who I think we may still be on. No, we're on Rudolph by now. But yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that I just, and it's kind of important because Ferdinand was from a younger branch of the Habsburgs. So him inheriting Hungary wasn't as dangerous as had it all been accumulating under Charles. But by splitting Spain off, created a more powerful imperial presence. You know, bit of like with the elector thing, my mind just does not track these things, and so, you know, I may say some absolutely wrong shit. Here it is, Sunday. Skipped Saturday entirely. And, you know, the rainy weather is just continuing all through this week, and I kind of decided an ascetic life is easier than going shopping in the rain. I never would have done this with my wife around, but, you know. Not sharing, you know, the toil of marching through the rain. It just doesn't seem worth it. So, eating what we can. Okay, prestige penalties. Nobody has a disputed succession yet. Yet is important. Turkey lost 1 point due to their revolt, but poor France is about 5 points back. This is why you don't ignore those revolts to go pursue your aims or whatever. That was a big hit. I don't think I've been charging that penalty correctly, but I'm not sure. But now, interestingly, there are interregnums. I look around and I see them sitting in both Poland and Turkey. These cause a loss of a stability each. Ouch. Forgot about how bad this is, but they also will turn, if there were any marriages on their realms, they would turn them to disputed successions. Now, this is sort of, so there's something good about making a royal marriage with another realm, which is that you each get a card, but it costs a peace cube, a diplomacy cube, from the person who's choosing who gets the cards. And it's not like, I don't believe it gets absorbed, like it's not like there's a 1 cube peace cost overall. Like if you want to go to an alliance, that costs another cube. So it's really hard to decide, to make that decision that it's worth expending not only a turn for a player, but also a cube for the marriage. And then here's the risk of a marriage, right? I have a truce marker. Yeah, those belong there. Okay. All right. These reduced stabilities, Turkey took a hit from that. One of their areas goes into unrest from it. The religious unrests, of course. Ooh, I forgot to hit the French with religious unrest. How about that? I didn't even count them. I counted everybody else. Well, apparently not. Uh-oh. I missed this one as well. The Protestants are hard to see, honestly. I think that's the issue. Okay. So Spain owes 1 more. This is getting ugly, isn't it? We don't want Gibraltar. See, I've been trying to keep it with where my army is, but the unrest situation in Spain is getting so ugly. And some of that has to do with one being created from there. Some of that has to do with the religious unrest without any I don't want ports. Ports can be really annoying because the nation then fights you navally. But France has a couple they've got to pick up as well, as theirs continues to spread. Okay. But yeah, the situation of unrest throughout Europe is really problematic. There's a couple of countries that are pretty much immune. Well, most of the countries are pretty much immune. France and Spain are the ones having the biggest problems with it. England, a little bit in Ireland. Hey, that's to be expected. Turkey, Turkey and Poland, their tolerance is helping them a lot, but not 100%, and it doesn't help against the stability problem. Austria, surprisingly, is remarkably solid. All right, time to roll some rebel dice. The rebel dice, it's a tedious and time-consuming process. I look at one thing, I roll, okay, I owe $2 because that's what I rolled. So now in part it's because of the distance, but this is a game that would be hard not to have some problems having to do with getting access to items. Now, if you're all sitting around the table, somebody can pass this tray over to the person who's rolling currently and whatever. Another thing is, because these are special dice, you can't just substitute in any old dice for it. I mean, I guess you could do a mapping or something. But what it means is the same as I'm doing solo, each player has to roll all their results separately, then pass the dice to the next player. Again, it's a time-consuming mechanical process, especially, I would say, if you're not playing it solo. Because when you're playing solo, you got to do things sequentially. You can only do one thing at a time. You only have one processor, right? But normally, in a game where there's multiple players, everybody can kind of manage their own kind of mechanical type aspects all at the same time. Interesting choice as we move up here. There was a rebellion. It could have happened in Granada or over in Cordoba. But I have yet to get core province from forming Spain. So this would create Granada again if they revolted. We've come to the end with Spain. Other than the Cordoba revolt, we had one in Zaragoza. It is now a new Aragon starting up, which other states might end up, other parts of it might end up falling. Spain is just falling apart, and I don't have a way around it. It's not like, oh, give up the Netherlands. And speaking of which, if there's something you don't really care about anymore, like I could say, screw it, I'm not going to keep supporting the Netherlands. It doesn't matter. I roll dice. I have to pay these penalties no matter what. I can hope that they rebel or something, because then they'd leave me. That's another thing, though. These rebels, if they're there at the end of the turn, there's a prestige cost for them. But if they just turn into another country like this did, although this is vassal, so it's different, then, hey, that's, I guess, kind of okay. I don't know. It's not an optimal situation by any means, but, I'm looking at total collapse for Spain, and their points are just hitting the toilet. Tolerance is kind of weird, and I think I've been playing it wrong. If we look at religious dissent, players who have religious dissent in any of their areas add this. Players who have this in any areas with a religion, I don't know if you can avoid the vassal religious unrest by using your tolerance. You can make an argument either way on that. But then here it says, take immediately, twice, immediately after rolling for an area, you may re-roll one rebel die. An area, not one of your areas. Key there, because when you're rolling for a vassal, you don't own the area. I don't know if I've played that consistently. Right now I'm deciding, you know, I think that you can use these on your vassals as well. As a solution to my walking around and everything, I moved the tray over here. Not too difficult. that aided a little bit, and I don't know why, you know, I made a deal out of it, but doing so made me realize that, yeah. So yeah, the unrest is getting worse. This is actually, never mind. Burgundy is, of course I can't remember that it's here. Instead of there being a cube there, Burgundy has now recreated its nation. Oh boy. Yeah, both France and Spain feel like they're on a decline towards collapse. Turkey feels like it's teetering there. Their gain of all this territory, well, one of them rebelled, and now there's a Mamluk-aligned city down there, and I can't do a damn thing about it. Religious unrest is, as it should be, the order, well, religious and other unrest, actually, is sort of the order of the day over here, and it's really becoming kind of problematic for some people. And if you can't manage it, you're going to collapse. You're going to collapse hard because, you know, you can see the Turks, their finances are getting to the point where maybe they go into a bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a part of what really sent the Spaniards into hell, where they can't do anything. They're just locked down. That's going to put me on to income. Interesting facets happening with England. Now, at the beginning of the game, England starts out with possessions in France. And they're a real land power. As the game progresses, if they lose those, their manpower and their income, but the income, well, trade seems to be the way to go about that, to settle that. But my capacity to involve myself on the continent becomes less and less, not just because I don't have a foothold there anymore, but I just don't have the troops anymore. That kind of shows a nice, I'm not sure the causality is right entirely, but it shows a nice progression that is historical, where the English were able to contest in France. Not with equal numbers, ever, but they were able to raise quality of troops and whatever, that were able to fight the French for a long period of time. Now, once we get to the period where the game actually starts, I don't know if they ever really were able to put up that fight. But it felt like I was able to take a chance and be a continental power. And now it feels like that's past. Unless I can get my income so high that I can afford to, you know, throw lots of mercenaries into a problem, I can't really fight one of these wars that's going on right now. Which may, you know, decide my foci, as it were. Yes, I can diplomatically get myself involved in these things and maybe gain those the points that I want for that kind of stuff. But that's getting harder and harder, especially with things like the Netherlands showing up and everything. I think those goals are out of my reach, basically, or becoming so. There were other countries, Austria, for example, who had goals falling out of reach, and that gets rid of a whole pathway. Whereas, on the other hand, France, who met their goals in Burgundy, right, and has secondary goals that follow up from that, but those secondary goals are falling further from reaches. Our country just slides into disaster. But, you know, I mean, all goals fall out of reach if you're, like, unable to keep your country above water. Economically, most of the countries are about where they expect to be. Everybody's kind of rich, even people who are in debt. You know, Turkey has such a big area of controlled territory that they're still raking in money. Poland, again, they're big enough, they're raking in the money. Austria is the only person who's really not doing well money-wise. The English are not doing well either, but they have this huge trade opportunity and have built up 2 trade zones. So I feel like they can handle themselves. The economic problems that are challenging some of the nations, you know, they're not that big a deal. The danger is that something like religious unrest throws you into a bankruptcy at this point. It seems to be enough money to kind of keep running, to run the next turn, to pay off your debts, whatever, for most of these countries. Now, I'm at the point where the hearts are removed from the map board. The only ones I have are over there from the smallpox epidemic. It says from the map boards, which to me means they probably are removed. However, I do want to check that again because here's the thing. Those aren't normal. Like, they're not tax value or anything. Those are... Oh, geez. I hope I haven't been seeing this. I don't think it's come up, but I might misread it as that. Spread of the revolution. I feel like this was somewhere. Okay, was there an event that caused this? Hold on. Okay, I'm really not sure how to read this. Place one of these in America that's adjacent to one of these and another in another area adjacent to the token just placed. I think I could have placed it here, which would end up costing Spain $50. Round it up. So I'm gonna do that because the way I was reading it was just the native smallpox, but I don't think that's the case here. I think it works as normal. And the note here: distant provinces with a heart on them provide half the normal strength when calculating an MC for NPR defense. What I thought this would mean is the kind of smallpox that was wiping out the natives and making, you know, areas much easier to conquer. A game like Conquistador handles this very well. EU never really did, but the natives weren't much threat there. But the thing with Conquistador is you wipe out the native population through colonization, through other means, but also, you know, disease and whatnot can do it. That doesn't seem to apply here. So I guess these just get removed. And the fact that they just get removed means I think they counted, I could use them the way I did there, backing it up onto the space that I hit. Oh, what else are we at here? All right. We're moving into the end of age routine. I'm not in a state where I want to continue playing. I've got to do some raid and starving. I mean, not literally, you know. But when I don't get food in me, it's really weird because I've managed to fast for a couple of weeks, a couple of times in my life. But under normal conditions, if I don't get food in me, I'm just like really unable to operate at all. And I'm still in normal state right now. We haven't yet figured out how to shrink my desire for food. Anyway, that's where we're going to go. We'll hit the end of age routine where we build the new decks and whatnot. But yeah, it's looking pretty ugly. Like Western Europe is in nasty shape. Still, almost nothing in terms of exploration of the New World, etc. This feels really, I don't know, you know. I mean, at this point in time, most of this area is Portuguese. Like, it's not controlled by Portugal, but most of the Portuguese expansion has already sort of started over there. Africa should have Portuguese colonies and trading posts, or whatever they are. It's hard to tell. EU covered things much more explicitly in terms of trade. You had trading posts, which you could build a colony in that location if you wanted, but in general, you might build trading posts for a small port capability. There's nothing quite like that here. And although there are impacts to not having a port in the area, so you kind of need to build a full colony there to get that advantage. I gave the Spaniards their cube for the Danish territory. I claim on it. I don't know. I feel like they should get it, but I don't know if it's a colonial claim anymore. Like, It's just weird. I feel like there's a lot of edge cases like that where maybe the rule is somewhere. There's an easier way to. There's a way to get to a good answer for the rule by pondering and paging through and finding what you want, but there's also a fair chance that it's actually ambiguous, and I don't have the guts and the will to look up everything. The new deck is set, and milestones get removed. Now this is kind of an interesting thing because, you know, most of these were failures. The only thing we really had was suppressed revolts. France remembers those good old days. Obviously Poland and Austria are doing okay on that front. And then create the Grand Fleet for the English. But these are gone. You can't chase these anymore. That may feel a little weird because they're out of the deck. Now here, well, they're off the board. They might show back up, I don't know. Well, let's see what it says. It says remove all milestones from the previous age from the game and replace them with 4 drawn from the deck belonging to the next age. I'm going to have to look up milestones to understand this, because is the deck from the next age all previous, or I think it's going to be 42 that gives me the information. There are always 4. 1 is drawn from each of the 4 decks at the end of each age. Discard all milestones and draw new ones from the start from each of the next age decks. Okay. Let's look at the scenario. Basically, I don't know. Like, these are discarded, so I think they're actually gone. Milestones are not listed here. I don't know. Mixing them up with missions. Milestones are per era. So, yeah. Era 2's milestones will be gone. I don't know where they go. They go here, and we pick a new set. New selection, enemy of my enemy, have an alliance with an opponent while at war with another opponent. People should be able to arrange this. Unfortunately, it might have to be set up so that this is fired off so that the person with the less victory points gets the higher value from it. Where the sun never sets, own provinces on 4 or more distant continents. Okay, or more, yeah. I was going to say, wait, there's only 4. Okay. Gold fever, this one's a pain in the ass. Own 3 or more gold provinces. It is really hard to find them, and there is not, as far as I know, a list of all the gold provinces. There really needs to be a little bit better support for discovering things that are present on the map. And then the final one, and this one's interesting, it's worth $7 too. Enforce a piece other than a white piece on an opponent who has more prestige than you on the prestige track. The opponent loses 3 prestige, and you're going to gain 5 plus some cash. That's a really attractive mechanism, actually, for allowing some catch-up. First of all, it gives you some extra points, but also, you know, targeting a runaway leader or something like that. A lot of people could be interested in trying to go to war with Turkey over that, just because they're so far ahead. And you're talking about, you know, for one person, an 8-point swing. That's a lot of points. That can help a lot. And I don't know how much. I don't know how much it impacts. Geez, I saw a nasty bit of tobacco on the map. I mean, there's always. But I saw one that was really bugging me from this side. and there it is. It's on the record, on the victory point track. But I couldn't see it when I come over here. I know, I'm just filth incarnate. Okay, so now the next thing, we go back in the rules, and that's going to be unresearched ideas are replaced with an idea of the same type. Now this has new ideas being shuffled into the decks because it's age 3. A lot of people were interested in picking up the Inquisition. Didn't happen. So it's not gone forever. But we got National Bank. From now on, gain 8 ducats for each loan taken and pay 9 to repay a loan. Gain 1 debt fewer from events than normal and no debt from gold cards. Instant effect, you get to remove half the debt from your treasury. That's a nice option. I really like what that does. Like the scientific revolution, France hasn't used it. You know, tolerance has been very useful. Obviously, the military ones have been useful. Some of these others, like free trade, gives you a third merchant. It doesn't do you that much. If you're going to do a lot of trade actions, sure, but 3 merchants isn't terribly helpful. The benign diplomats, that's been helpful, but I wish it weren't out there. Like, I wish we had new things. You know, like these are just, some of them are not powerful. People just picked them up for the victory points or whatever, and now there are tags on them, and they can't be taken. They can't be replaced. You're stuck with those ideas. So there's kind of an interesting, hey, do you really want to lock in certain ideas into the game? It would be nicer if it were on a per player basis, like you had, you know, if you chose one of these ideas, that would restrict you from getting additional ideas. Because it feels to me like people who haven't had an idea yet might jump ahead and go into something else. But instead, we got things like that bank that maybe wouldn't show up if somebody had put a thing on Inquisition. Kind of makes sense in a sense. You could say, well, Spain, the Inquisition may have caused issues where they weren't able to do the administrative reforms that maybe were necessary or whatever. You could make some kind of little argument in that direction. Scientific revolution, well, that prevented people from, you know, inventing a bank, right? I don't know. You know, that's a little harder to accept, but whatever. Whoever's got the less prestige can replace 1 new idea or milestone with a card of their choice from the matching deck. Okay. That's England. So I get to look at the decks and decide, is there an idea? Do I want to replace National Bank with something else? National Bank sounds kind of useful to England, to tell you the truth, but I'll peek. Or is there one of these missions, or whatever they are, milestones, that I'd like to replace? Obviously, I'm not going to replace balance of power. That seems useful. Some of these others, I don't know. Looking through them, and boy, this one's kind of a nightmare. Religious diversity. Have 3 or more different religions on your main map and no unrest. Wow. I mean, I guess if you've already gotten yourself stuck in a position where you've got a lot of religions, and diverse probably counts as one. Although I would say that counter-reform doesn't count as different from Catholic for that, but I don't know. But that just sounds painful to get. English went and replaced that annoying gold provinces with 4 more trade protection slots adjacent to each of 2 different trade nodes. Am I there? That's 2, 3, both adjacent to 2, 4. Bang! It's me! It's me! I don't think anybody else is in that position. So the English, I guess, score that right away, which is going to give them 5 points. Hey, look, we're not in last anymore. As well as $7. Marriages degenerate. Now, first player is Poland. If you have at least 1 marriage in play, you get a prestige, and either lose the marriage or lose a couple of diplomatic cubes. Well, I don't want to lose this one, I'll tell you that much. I can afford to lose this. That marriage doesn't really help me. It's not bad, but Turks, they don't marry anyone. They're not allowed to marry Christians, and they're not that interested in too much Muslim territory, right? French probably have a marriage in place somewhere. Searching. I got a vassal there. I don't think I have a marriage. Okay. Spain. Spain has a marriage down here to Savoy. And a marriage here that they definitely do not want to get rid of. So, do we want, we get a point. Uh-oh. England's getting closer to last again. Do we want to give up 2 cubes to keep that marriage? I don't think it's doing me much. I'll let it expire. English have a marriage up with the Scots. They have one with Portugal. And then they have this one down here, which probably isn't too useful to them. Austria. Now, Austria is problematic because, see, the English probably shouldn't have gotten rid of that one. Because, no, it's not a battleground area. Okay, screw it. It's aiming for that goal that I probably can't achieve. Okay, Austria, as we move too quickly, I'm sure, has a marriage with Hungary, which we do not want to get rid of because we can absorb them. We have a marriage with Venice I'd rather not get rid of, but we have a marriage over here with Cologne, which I don't really want to get rid of either. Okay. I get my victory point, and I get rid of 2 diplomatic cubes, which sucks because I would have liked them, but you know what? I'm collecting up cubes and getting some from being emperor. And Poland was first, so we're done with that. Yeah. Okay. And I guess the last thing we do is we deal out. This is actually in the next era, but I want to give you a hint of what is coming. I built the deck as suggested in the rules this time. I think I did last time too. I think there was one place where I cheated a little on the first one. I'm beginning to get an idea of what I might want to do to fuck around with that, but Catholic lead. Austria, if Catholic, gains 2 alliances with Catholic NPRs in the HRE. Okay. And then the choices here. And this comes with Ferdinand II, who is a real sad sack. He's almost as bad as an interregnum. Chastise Protestant electors. The emperor gains 1 military for every elector which is Protestant. Okay. And a claim in one of them. Edict, yeah, but using your claims in the empire doesn't work well. Edict of Restitution, change a Protestant area to Catholic. Well, in the HRE. Privateers, issue a letter of marque. And we're looking at these things. Now, one of the things that's most important is the deaths, and I'm like, that's so fucking hard to balance all that kind of information. Pay 1 military to draw 3 trade cards and select a maritime trade node on one of these to activate an opponent's merchant in this node and place a pirate there to collect income from the top of the left D column on the card. So you'll flip their merchant, you get a pirate in the area, and you collect, I guess, the unexalted area. We'll look at one of these. Top left, I guess, is this. Okay. Strike down on piracy. Pay 1 military to move a pirate from one maritime trade node to another, and you gain a dip. And that comes with a lot. This is, I believe, unrest in the colonies. A Protestant Union. Yeah, this one almost bit it, like when I was considering roll for see if things disappear or not. The Heilbronn League. Each non-HRE player can gain an alliance with 2 Protestant NPR imperial subjects where they have cubes. PRs who do gain a claim in any HRE area adjacent to one of these alliances. The Emperor gains 1 military, though, for each of the claims placed, or the Evangelical Union. The Emperor must remove 4 cubes from the Protestant HRE areas. You gain 1 dip, and I forgot to do something with the Emperor. Got any gray cubes on the board? We do not. There should be 2 that the Austrians got to place during the end of turn sequence. Oh. See, I can't remove them. That's the problem. So I'll put 1 here and 1 here. I think that's what we want. Okay. All right, yeah. And that is the end of the road for the Third Age. I had been thinking all along I would pause the game after an age, maybe after 2 ages. I don't really feel like I can do that. I feel, and play something else as a rest between. But I feel like I need to maintain the flow. The game is still not, not real easy for me to play. And so I think I'll just play through. It's a bit of a pity. I have an XX that I did a preview for that I want to do a playthrough on the full version as well. And I was kind of hoping to squeeze that in here because that would probably not take all that long. But honestly, it would probably take about a week for me to get through the whole video, given my pace and everything. And that's about what it seems to take for me to get through an age, so it's not that bad. We're just slow now. Honestly, this is sucking me in better than most games have recently. I've said that before. I'm really, really impressed with what we're doing, with what this is playing like. Part of it is my mind gets engaged with the, wait a minute, how can I make this work better? What can I do? Normally, I don't feel that way with Euro-style games. Normally, I feel like everything's too abstracted, but there are some things that I really feel like I can fiddle with here, namely the various different card decks. I feel like I can do something that makes them work better, including those damn idea cards. I feel like there's something that can be done to make those ideas work better. I don't know what it is yet, but they're really irking me, and it's when things irk me that I feel all the more compelled to play the game more and try to come up with ideas for how to fix what I see as flaws. Likewise, not a flaw, but I want to generate some kind of randomization to the event deck. I really do. Obviously, it can't be full on, just shuffle the cards together and throw them all in. Although maybe that would work if I threw Russia in the game too. If I had that extra component set to use the Russians. Now, I wonder if I could. See, but it's more than just a box. It's more than just a tray of pieces. I might be able to come up with pieces for it, but I also have to build one of these suckers, which of course, you know, I would build out of a different, you know, out of a different quality or whatever. But I would really like to see this with at least one additional player set, just because at the beginning of the game I feel like leaving Russia out is harsh. And this whole idea of, oh, I'm so screwed, I'll go be Russia. Yeah, that's just not happening. Nobody's that screwed. These countries are all ones that have a great deal of survivability, although before the end of the game, Poland shouldn't exist. It should be possible for Poland not to exist. So there is that. Where in that final age, the thing is, in this era, Poland still isn't out of the fight. It's only in that fourth age that they just begin their rapid decline. You know, yeah, sure, they're not, historically, they were not the power that they were, you know, maybe in the medieval era, but they're still pretty big, you know. Well, bigger than I've got them, and they feel, you know, as good as any country, making a run for the victory points. Why would I want to switch to Russia? Maybe Russia's got a lot of advantages, but especially if I'm coming into the game late, how do I incorporate what Russia's already done and everything? That's going to be really troublesome. But I'm still bothered, you know, still bothered by like the Portugal. Man, they should be in this game too, man. right? And the Netherlands, they should be coming in. They should be a power. It's very, very hard to look at this and say, yeah, it's playing out like the board game or the computer game. And one of the reasons, you know, the computer game of all of them, right? Everything, you sit down and play as a nation, and all the other nations are operating. They're all doing stuff, right? There's all these interactions and everything going on, and there's just no way to represent all that. Now, sure, some of them aren't doing much at any given point. Many of them, when they hit their high point of interest or whatever, that can be triggered by an event that affects other people. But if that's Denmark, Denmark's doing neat shit, right? I feel like there should be a player doing that shit. Or there should be something a little bit richer than this, hey, if pink comes up, maybe it does something, you know? Maybe it doesn't, because maybe there's another pink on the board. Likewise, if orange comes up, what's going to happen? Is it going to be the Dutch? Or is it going to be the Mamluks down here? You know, if a player's choosing, unless it's Turkey, they'll probably fire off the Mamluks. The Dutch are just a problem, you know, they're fine. But the idea of the Mamluks creating more trouble for the Turks would be really, really appealing to almost every other player in the game. Whereas, what is it that the Dutch can do? Maybe mess with France, Austria, or England, but not in a very pleasant way. But then again, this doesn't do much if you directly, you know, impose something on someone else. The only thing that does is the revolt rolls. That's the only way that these guys get any real power. All right. I guess we send this up.